Court will come to order. It is Wednesday, July the 13th, 2022, 1:30 in the afternoon, and the Commissioners Court is now in session for a budget workshop. So we're going to start first of all with our volunteer fire departments. And Don, I guess you lead the discussion on that?
Well, I think I'll talk to Brian a little bit. I think Brian has a few things to say, and so let's let him kick it off.
Surely that's not true.
Filibuster.
I'm gonna make them talk too. Okay, well, we all hurt by fuel budget this year, but we're all in the same boat, I guess. But long story short, we've all appreciate what y'all done in the past. It's kind of went up for our funding every year. But I would like for y'all to consider this year, maybe give us a little bit more. I know that's up to y'all, but we've never been greedy. We've always appreciated what y'all done for us. But definitely fuel costs has definitely got us this year. Mutual aid calls have been phenomenal. We're helping each other out way more than what we've probably done in the last several years. Volunteering is getting pretty rough. Trying to get people to leave work is almost impossible now. So some of us that have our own business, we're a little fortunate. But so anyways, cost of stuff breaking down has cost us more. Insurance, workman's comp, I mean, you name it, it's all, I can tell you from my end of it this year, donations have really.
14 firefighters.
We're thumbing through papers. We're trying to
Yeah,
multitask here, and you know how that is with us. So
I thought I've already done something.
14.
14.
Fire
Right in the middle.
Sorry, Brian.
Fire protection.
I know y'all got the sheriff here, but come on. We kind of give you a little spiel with Mountain Home, the others they can talk. We run, as of this morning, we had another call, we were up to the 124 calls. Last year, 124 calls. We've mutual aided more this year throughout this whole county, more than we've ever have. Long story.
How many do you have all of last year, Brian?
We're hitting right around, I think it's 99 exact.
And you're at 124 now?
124 right now. So,
Starting January 1.
We assist Junction quite a bit. We just got back from Junction Monday night, or let me rephrase that, Tuesday morning. We went from 6 o'clock Monday all the way till Tuesday at 6 a.m. and got home. So we mutual aid them, we mutual aid Gillespie County. So we're all going all over everywhere. We're all helping each other out to make things happen. We were just kind of talking. 2011 was a pretty rough year for a lot. We spent $11,000 in fuel in 2011. I can tell you right now, we're going to be over that this year. So, and we didn't even have price increase of fuel there. So, but like I said, we appreciate what y'all done for us. It would be nice to receive a little bit more. So I know last year we brought up about the Swift Water team. That is still going. So on that part, I'd like to see if we can get the same amount that we did last year for training and more equipment. So any questions y'all got for us?
I just look at it as, to me, a 10% increase is reasonable to all the fire departments or whatever their amount was. Throughout the county, I know y'all been working really hard. You've got fires everywhere, and y'all, like you say, you don't just go to the ones in your area. You go to the fire wherever they are, local or other counties. To me, a 10% increase is not that much in our overall budget, but it certainly will help offset fuel increases.
Now, not everybody's getting the same amount. We changed that several years back, so.
Well, the ones that are getting different is Tierra Linda, that's in Gillespie County, and represented here. And then we got Castle Lake in Bandera County, which, Bandera County doesn't give them a penny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the difference. I would agree that 10% would be a good jump. I'd love to give you 100%. I mean, whatever
We'll
can
take
give you, I know, but we can't. But I know whatever we give you you use appropriately and you can always use more. I know that's the deal. And we got a lot of other departments, but I feel like 10% would be warranted.
At least.
I mean,
We have a
it's
lot of
already-
population growth here.
Yeah.
And a lot of what and I just had a conversation with Wes Gordon about this. There's gonna be more houses, more people, more opportunities for fires to start. They need every penny they can get. The fundraisers
Right.
that really don't quite do it, so, equipment aging out and fuel costs that Brian mentioned, all of that stuff adds up. You got Hunt expanding, so, 10% doesn't sound like much to me when you got 8% inflation, or 9% I think it clocked in at today.
Yeah.
So, I don't know where we could get the money, but I would want them to get even more, if we can find it. Now,
Right.
that's a question of if we can find it.
Well, in response to your rhetorical question, where do we get the money?
Yeah,
There are only limited sources of money,
I know.
and we get them from raising taxes, and we get it from, we get it out of our fund balance. If we spend down our savings account, which we try to keep enough in there to be able to run the government for at least 3 or 4 months if something happens. And then we do have those ARPA funds. They qualify, that can be used for lost revenue. That's what we did a few months ago. Those are the sources of revenue that we had to draw.
And that's unquestionable, the ARPA funds for this particular purpose,
Yes,
for emergency and for roads.
right.
There's no question, no clawback possible.
No, and in fact, well, when we passed that, the resolution on the lost revenue, the federal government has already told us we've got 10 million that we can spend for monies that we've already lost without any clawback exposure. So we only have clawback exposure on $200,000.
Now, they said it, and that doesn't mean I believe it, just for the record. But
We all
it-
understand.
It was included in emergency services and roads were spelled out specifically in that, in the ARPA funding as one of the ways you could spend it, no fear of any kind of clawback on it. It's the strings attached that we don't want.
Sure.
And I think it's important that the people understand that our volunteer fire departments are becoming more and more critical to county operations. We have platted, or on the books to be platted, over 1,000 new 5+ acre lots in Kerr County. They're in the county, they're not in the city. And we're gonna be looking to y'all to take care of them. That's not lost on us. You need to know that. We're paying attention.
And the problem that we have with those that are coming in, they don't donate.
They don't know
They'll
yet.
learn.
Yeah, they'll learn.
They'll
I
learn.
know.
There's a learning curve.
But they're used to being taxed high where they come from, and so they don't expect,
Well, they're not being taxed high here.
yeah, no, they know that. So,
Uh-oh.
Okay, Charles' turn. Y'all taking turns in the barrel here?
Charles Holt, Fire Chief from Center Point. I just want to let y'all know, like Ryan was agreeing what he was saying about the fuel costs and everything. I just fuel, our tires that run our brush trucks are a little over $400 a piece. I went through 22 in the last 4 months. So just things like that. We just had our current fundraiser. We normally serve between 9 and 1,200 people. We serve 675. So those numbers are down. So as much as, we're very thankful for everything y'all do for us, it's still very, very important for us. You guys all know we got our ESD pass. We're still working through trying to get that stuff done. I don't see any of that till the end of the year, and just go from there. We're adding on our station right now. Our station at almost $200,000. We got this one grant for $35,000, and the HEB family gave us $80,000. So we've been working hard to get that stuff done because I have a lot of growth in my fire district. I know of 2 subdivisions, possibly a 3rd one that's coming in. So I'm looking at adding a lot more traffic and a lot more people in my jurisdiction. Last year, minus the snow bid stuff, we ran 125 calls. Right now I'm at 123 calls. So everything's up, and we're doing the best that we can. We have a great department. We have a lot of members. We're just trying to do the best we can with our citizens and everything. So, but I appreciate everything y'all do for us. It's like I said, it's very important, and I thank y'all for your time.
Is there anybody in any of the volunteer fire departments that are not applying for grants. Every department applies for whatever
Right.
grants you know are available. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a grant out with every grant company out there that I can get hold of. Between Texas Forestry Service, Calhoun, Peterson, Stevens, they're all filled right now. So,
And you're always looking.
always look. So,
Yeah.
thank y'all, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Next.
Lee Poole, the HUD Volunteer Fire Department Chief. You're gonna hear the same thing from every chief. We're struggling financially with fuel costs. We spent just in 1 week on the Buckshot Complex fire, over $1,000 on just fuel. We also blew some tires, which cost, $600 a piece depending on what kind of vehicle you have. So I'm not gonna speak to the other guys, but we all really do the same thing. Appreciate everything you guys do for us, and whatever you can do for us in the future, we're gonna be pleased with that and appreciative.
Thanks, Lee. Any others? Ma'am? Go ahead.
I'm Ed Doyle, treasurer for Turtle Creek Volunteer Fire Department. I would like to reiterate what the other gentleman has said as far as our costs are concerned. As of this year, we've spent $60,000 in expenses to run the department, which is twice what we have been allocated by this court. I'd also like to thank the court for everything that this court and previous courts have done in the past to support the volunteer fire departments. Our fuel and tire expenses, like the rest of them, we had $17,495 this year for fuel and tires. And then, of course, there's other repairs and things of that nature. There was something that came down the line that I'd like to bring back up again. It came up several months back about the new communication system. I have a quote from a company for our department for $60,000 for the new digital radios to comply with the new system that's going on in Kerr County. And if there's any way outside of the grants and stuff that we can find, that we can get some help from the county to purchase these radios, being that we've already spent our allotted money for the year, we'd certainly like to be able to attack that and get up to scale when it comes to our communication system to keep everybody talking on the same page without having to use cell phones like they have to do sometimes out on these scenes, and ask for that kind of help as well besides what y'all are willing to give us now. So Harley, I'd like to thank you for everything that you've done. Don, you as well. Jonathan, Beck, Judge Kelly, you guys are great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed.
Anything else on volunteer fire departments?
Jimmy Drice, Divide Fire Chief. Thank y'all for looking out for us when you can.
You spent the most money getting here today, didn't you?
I did. 2 roadblocks I had to wait on too. But that means the highway's getting fixed. We have mutual aid, a lot of calls this year. We've run, I think we're up to 10 tires at $650 a piece. We're filling the fuel tanks today. That's the 4th or 5th time we filled them up at 1,000 gallons of pop. Insurance has gone up. We just got an email on that yesterday. So everything keeps going up. So we know y'all are perfectly aware of that, but there again, they're talking about adding on the station. Ours needs an addition so we can house more equipment. We have one truck that lives outside now because we can't fit it in. And like I say, with population growth, we're gonna need more apparatus, and we're gonna have to add on the station to do that. But thank y'all for your time.
Thank you.
He mentioned insurance. We don't even think about a lot of that kind of stuff. We think about equipment. I mean, it's in your overhead, but there's so much that goes into it.
Any other discussion on the volunteer fire departments? Okay. Thank y'all for coming in. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is capital.
Just on that, I mean, a sort of consensus of 10%, maybe more?
How about if we go with the 10% and see if we can find some more,
Probably get 15 or 20.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say.
Let's go with minimum
Let's
10
make that our
for now
goal.
and try to do something.
Yeah.
We were trying to call either the Hill Country Event Center or the Ag Extension Office next.
Okay? So let's go ahead and call the Ag Extension Office, it's Fund 665. So mine's a blue tab,
Which one is it?
665.
Right, before that, 3 and 4 before.
You sure didn't 666?
I'm sure it's not 666. It's 665.
Extension. Okay.
The ag barn is 666.
Y'all finding it?
Yes.
Are we on there? There were no big changes. I think the main thing, we had an increase on our postage of $50. Is that right? Books on line 315 with our books, publications, dues, and subscriptions. We want to be able to add, our newspaper subscriptions have gone up. So that was why we increased that. Oh, there's my coworker. Agent travel. I'm just going through just the things that have been changed. Is that what you wanted me to do?
Sure.
Yes.
That'd be
Okay.
good.
Agent travel, on line item 426, the agriculture agent. We are asking to increase that travel. Things are costing more. We're still traveling, as much as we'd like to say that we won't be traveling as much. We've been traveling more with both the agents, the 4-H agent and the ag agent. And so we are requesting an additional $1,000. And then the only other thing is our capital outlay at 570. And we don't really know the details on that. That's at Explorer. We just have that, so whatever needs to be budgeted for that.
Vehicle.
The vehicle that we don't have yet.
Which is up in there like all the others.
No, we're getting it. Quit being that way. Don't be negative.
Okay, it's coming.
Christmas in October. Because that poor man is falling apart. I'm tempted to leave it this weekend at the Bear County Extension Office and let it get stolen. No, I'm kidding, I'm not. We had the opportunity, but I said I'd drive them there and bring it back. And so that's all that I have on my.
Okay.
Have any questions?
Any questions?
Or
That's good.
concerns?
Pretty straightforward.
Or things are
Straightforward.
going fast and furious, even though it's summertime, so that's why I'm here by myself. Well, that Lindsay. Anyway,
Okay,
Thank you very much.
And then Youth Event Center, Jake here. No, we don't have everybody inside.
He probably would hope they were really gonna do this. Jake's out of town this week, so.
So-
That's more a maintenance item in our budget. I mean, that's major repairs. I mean, Jake's item is under a contract. It doesn't change.
Well, I'm just looking at, we got the HCYEC. Is anybody here on that? You had that down for third,
Yeah, that's okay.
okay?
I thought they were in for,
But that's Fund 666, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the items, if we look at them, the contract with Spectrum is fixed. The other things are, capital outlay,
You got any
repairs, things of that nature.
building and ground maintenance.
Some utilities.
Yeah, the building and ground maintenance was about 7,500.
Yeah.
That's the only
Which makes
variance that I
sense,
see.
they've already almost spent all from last year already in July.
Anything else on the Youth Event Center?
Tanya, I know there's some funds left under our Spectrum contract to spend out there, some capital funds. Is that on this budget or is it elsewhere?
That is on Fund 16 capital projects.
Okay.
So we'll see that budget in just a minute,
All right.
75,000.
Okay. And that's it for
Okay,
that.
anything else on that? Okay, do we have anything else we want to take out of order, Tanya?
We do not, unless there's anything on here that does not show on your list, the auditor is responsible when we do those at the very end.
Okay. Well, I've got Capital Projects Fund 16.
Yeah. Can I have just a minute and I'll be right to 16?
No.
We've got Judge Faulkner Burke here, excuse me, and I need to get him in and I need to know where his budget is.
Okay.
Okay.
I was teasing you.
Is that one of the funds?
It's
Kenya?
one of the departments, and off the top of my head, I do not know what it is. Can we do another phone? Okay.
Okay, while we're getting that, capital projects, Fund 16.
Okay. Where is it back here?
It'll be behind 14, I think 601 comes next, and 602. and 602.
Capital Projects 16, got it right
Who
here.
decides the order of these things?
It's random, it does make sense.
Really? Is it? Okay, that's all I wanted to hear, 'cause I thought maybe I wasn't picking up on, that's all I needed to know.
So 15-601 is Road and Bridge, and we kind of left off the 15.
Okay.
We're there.
This is 16, Capital Projects.
Yes, so the revenue there transfers in of 300,000. That's our standard transfer in for the airport projects. There may be discussion on that later. I think there's still some discussion on the airport, what their projects are going to be next year. The next page, you'll see the Spectrum capital contribution. That is an expense of $75,033. And that is, has been in here, and we haven't identified what project that is for at this time. At one point, it was going to be for food, I believe.
We've looked at
A
different
kitchen?
things.
Was it the kitchen?
We're obligated under the contract with Spectrum for $75,000. And we've looked at a lot of different things. We've looked at lighting. We did some lighting upgrades. We thought we'd go one direction with lighting, and Jake did a trial, and we decided that that wasn't much bang for your buck. So we thought, didn't want that. So he's still looking at, really Jake's looking at some various options, getting costs on things and trying to figure out what would help the most. But I think that will be spent this year. It needs to be spent this year under our contract. And it's something that Jake identifies, and then we approve.
The next page is your real property purchase. This is the amount of money that's left over from the 2020 tax anticipation notes.
Can we just refund that vacuum or pay this off the debt?
I would love to do that with it. Would you like me to go ahead and budget it that way?
I would.
Okay.
Just pay it now. Just get rid of it and put it against the debt that we have.
Sounds good. Airport projects is on the next page. Keep in mind, they're kind of behind on the projects that we have budgeted for them in the past 2 or 3 years. And so while the number you're looking at is $1,076,000, we do have that money reserved for them at this point in this fund.
And just as a comment on that, one of the problems out there is that a lot of these funds are based on TxDOT. They're grants for TxDOT projects, and TxDOT changes their mind throughout the years to what they're gonna fund and not fund. A good part of this is a runway overlay, and we thought it was gonna be done last year or this year, and now they moved it up to next year, and then they were gonna do it year after next, but now it's back to next year again. So it's in there, we budgeted for it, we just don't know exactly when they're gonna happen.
So that is all for that fund.
Okay. Then the next one is Fund 36, Child Abuse Prevention.
Yes, and so if you would kind of mark that one, if you'll find it, Fund 36, and then also look for Department 660. We've got, Fund 36 is for child prevention specifically, and there is a fee that is collected for that. So in Fund 46, the budget has dropped a little bit from about $2,650 down to $1,250. And out of that, we pay K-Star, CASA, and Hill Country Cares. And so there's still enough money left in that fund to pay $1,000 to each of them, just like we did this year, out of the Child Abuse Prevention Fund.
Okay.
Good.
And then that leads us to the fund, or to Fund 10, but it's 660 in your book.
Right.
And so these are the other activities that the county sponsors.
650.
In there, you will see the remainder of K-Star, what they've requested, and CASA and Hill Country Cares. So that's what we funded them last year, so we kind of split that up between the general fund and what we believe is going to be in Fund 36. We did receive a letter, the Historical Commission as the last one there, and we did receive a letter from them requesting the same amount of funding as the prior year.
Okay. So we move on to county-sponsored activity?
That was county-sponsored activity,
Okay,
660.
got it.
So if we can jump to Fund 40.
Alternative dispute resolution.
Yes. So again, we've kind of lowered the revenues a little bit there to be 14.6. And then the next page, this all goes for mediation, and it's $20,000. And there will be fund balance there to cover that difference. And these are fees all collected again by the different departments.
Okay,
Fund 70 is next, permanent improvement. That, we're not predicting any revenues coming in for that. And we show $30,000 being able to be expended for permanent improvement. And fund balance will cover that.
what improvements are those?
Any permanent improvements to the county, buildings, structures.
Okay.
Catch all.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
That is it on that. And then we go to Fund 71. It'll be
Shriner Road
another
Trust?
quick one. Yes. This is a trust that came from the Shriner family. I can't think of how long ago, but it's been around for a while, and a couple of years ago, the trust was released, I'm not sure the right word for it, but basically released to the county for us to oversee instead of it being in a formal trust. And so we're holding all of the interest that's coming in until we build back up the corpus. So we've got $2,070 as revenue, and there are not any expenses. And I believe that was for road districts 1, or precincts 1 and 4.
Yes.
1 and 4 only.
It was to make sure that the livestock could get to market. That's what it was
Oh,
for.
very good. I didn't know that. And now for the CPS, we're ready for it. It's Department 407. Do y'all have that in your books?
Wouldn't bother me ask for it.
Yes.
Well, no.
We've got
We've got a
extra
tab, but
copies.
we don't have a handout.
Okay. And just a short review real quick, we recommended that there be $116,050, which is the same budget that they had the year before. And that's what we're showing right now, but I believe the judge wanted to speak on that.
Okay?
Everything's
Good.
Good afternoon. I'm Judge Robert Falkenberg. I preside over the Child Protection Court of South Texas, and I've got 7 counties. So I'm doing this 7 times. Gillespie County all the way to Uvalde and all the counties in between. My predecessor was Kathy Morris, and she retired a few years ago, and Judge Abels appointed me to take her spot. Prior to that, I had practiced CPS law in several of the counties around here, family law, and I've been in Kerr County practicing since 2008. So just a little bit about me. So I know I've talked to Judge Kelly before about one of our issues on the phone, but I don't think I've met any of you other gentlemen, so it's nice to meet you. The attorneys that we use in CPS court, we have the same attorneys for the most part that go to all 7 of my counties. And they travel far, and they work really hard, and they do a niche job. Representing parents and children in CPS is a statutorily required appointment for children and for parents when their parental rights are at stake. The parents have to qualify as being indigent, and I'm pretty strict on my indigency hearings, making sure that they are in fact indigent, and the children get an automatic appointment regardless. We have, of our 7 counties, Kerr is one of my busiest counties. The numbers have gone down a little bit since COVID started, and then they've gone back up and then back down again since they changed some of the laws effective September 1st, 2021. However, the attorneys have not had a raise in this county in over 20 years. Their rate has been $70 an hour, and that's in court and out of court. They came to me a few months ago and asked me if there was a possibility we could look at their rates. I went to Judge Abels, and Judge Abels directed me to talk to each county about it. That's why I'm here today. I don't believe, and I'm sorry, can you tell me your last name again? Shelton, I apologize. I don't believe, and Ms. Shelton can tell me, was the entire budget used last year, or was there anything left?
Last year, in the year 2021, the total budget was the total amount spent was $139,586.
Okay. So as you can see, the costs have gone up over the years somewhat. And we are using Zoom as much as we can to cut down on costs, especially with the cost of fuel. And I'm also trying to eliminate some of the costs associated with attorneys having to take half a day to do a 30-minute hearing as opposed to 30 minutes on Zoom. But the reality of it is that their cost of living has gone up considerably. A lot of these attorneys, this is all they do. They are full-time CPS practitioners, which is really good for the children and the families, because we get some attorneys in sometimes who've never done a CPS case and they don't understand this niche law. And so it's a boon to the district courts and the county courts that don't have to hear these cases, that we're able to do them expeditiously. They've asked for a raise. I've got some documents here I can give you. I told them they were shooting too high. And when you see the number in here, you'll agree with me that they shot too high. But I've had a meeting with Judge Mitchell and
Were you ever in sales?
I'm an attorney, that's all we do.
Okay. Well,
not anymore.
That's a heck of a pitch.
The meetings I've had in Uvalde County with Judge Mitchell, Judge Evans in Bandera County, I spoke to Judge Emerson about this. I've been in front of the Kennel County Commissioners, and I've also spoken to Judge Abels about this. Everyone agrees across the board they need a raise. But everyone agrees across the board that what they put in their proposal is too high. If we could have done it by percentage every year, every 2 years or 3 years, it wouldn't have been such a big hit. I'm thinking, and the judges that I've spoken to have agreed to, and I've secured it to the counties, that 70 to 90 would be appropriate. I think the budget would have to be increased to offset that somewhat. But again, we're cutting costs by using Zoom and some other things. So I can't stand up here. I'm not a numbers expert. I'm not going to stand up here and say it's going to balance out. But I think that a $90 an hour rate with some of the counties that are around us, that information's in here, is commensurate with what they're offering and what I believe, based on the budgets that I've seen, the county could afford. But we would take anything. At the end of the day, they'll take any increase they can get. They're very appreciative of the fact that I was able to meet with you all and ask for an increase. I don't know how exactly the legality of it works, but my understanding is you permit me to pay them more per hour, and then if you need to increase the budget, increase the budget. That's my understanding of how that has worked, but it's never been done in 20 years. It's been the same. And neither Judge Abels nor Judge Morris, who was before me, even knew how the $70 came into play in the first place. I asked. So that's my request. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Is this spread out between all the counties? How is it, I mean, is this like the DAs where there's a proportionate amount to each county, or is this just Kerr County's amount on this budget page?
It's just Kerr County. Each county has their own budget for CPS cases.
So, did the attorneys get a per diem when they go from county to county?
It depends on the judge, and what I tell them is, I'll pay you for your time, and I'll pay you for your mileage, but I will not pay you for both, because then they would be double dipping. If they're charging me to drive to court or drive to a visit somewhere, because they're statutorily required to go visit children, they're charging me their time for that. I'm not going to pay them mileage or meals, because they're making an hourly rate. And that's how I always billed as well when I was doing these cases. Did that answer your question?
Well, yeah, the question behind my question is about the Zoom calls versus having to be on the road and make the trip. But they're going to have to sit down with clients anyway.
They are going to have to sit down with clients anyways, but sometimes they'll come into the courtroom and wait 30, 40 minutes for their case to be called if one of them runs over. They're there on time,
Sure.
But we've got a trial that runs over, and they're billing for that time. Whereas on Zoom, I don't let them log in until right when the hearing starts, because I don't want to pay them to sit there and wait on Zoom. So, did that answer your question?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
I don't know what they asked for.
They asked for an increase of $125 an hour from 70. So it was, I think that their thought process was, we shoot high, and if we get anything, we'll be happy.
That'd be safe to say.
May I approach and hand you these? I only brought 3. I apologize.
Judge, what are we paying of the other district courts?
In the district courts, we're paying $75 an hour. In
Go ahead, you're more.
district court is $75 an hour for the attorneys, and in my court, it's $70 an hour still.
And that was just changed in the past handful of years,
Yep.
from 40 maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
For juvenile court. Maybe the past 5 years.
Is there a reason that different,
see
the
there.
attorneys should be paid different for different functions? And I'm asking really you, Judge Collier. I mean, it seems they should be paid the same. You know, this is my thought.
You always say that.
I think there's different types of expertise that is required and different complexities of the law. I thought Judge Falkenberg did a good job of explaining. It's a niche
Yeah.
practice. It's a niche practice. It's very specialized, and you don't have to know. I mean, as long as you know the law applicable to what they're working on, which they do it over and over again. You don't need to know as much as if you're in there trying to defend a bunch of different type of felonies.
Pretty close on those.
I would say my practice with the juveniles and even with ad litems and probate and mental health is much more similar to a niche practice. When you think my juvenile lawyers, I don't know what they know on other things, but they know juvenile, and they're good at that. And same thing with mental health. No, and just so you know, he did send me the letter. I did see what they were asking for. I didn't say anything to anybody about it. And I have to give you credit for being so vulnerable and so honest with us about it. As Harley says, whatever sales school you went to, that probably wasn't the best way to approach
They want
it.
their certificate back.
But candidly, $70 an hour for any of these practices is not enough. And frankly, I'm not sure 90 is either. But I understand the limitations that we have.
I guess my point is, to me, they should be pretty close to the same. I mean, they're all attorneys. I understand there's different areas of the law that they're experts in, but to me, they're attorneys and they're working at a discounted rate for the county. And I think we should be fairly consistent in what we pay. That's just how I feel about that. And I think 70 is probably too low, but if there's an increase, it should go across the board.
Well, at the risk of sounding trite, this is about children, and it needs to be handled properly, and it is. It's a field of law that demands expertise, and the judge just told us that there's more of it in our county than others. We need to step up.
Well, perhaps I shouldn't say this. Maybe I'm following your lead here, Judge. I haven't worked, I've been practicing law 48 years this October. And I haven't worked for $70 an hour since I was a baby lawyer. And that was a long time ago, folks. A long time ago. So any adjustment that we make is more than needed. More than needed.
Well, going back to what y'all were saying, when John said it, if we're gonna look at one, we need to look at all of them and try to work on it together, I think. I know we're just talking about this one right here, but.
Well, and to address some of that, and I don't know if you know, we put together a 5-county public defender's office.
Oh.
You probably knew that we had a public defender's office. And the purpose of that is to be able to provide the defense for those indigents both at the felony and the misdemeanor level. They're not involved, and I guess PDO can handle juvenile, but they can't handle anything else. It has to be criminally based because of the grant. And that's triggered a tremendous savings for the county, being able to have that PDO take the felony burden and the misdemeanor burden. So we have saved money other ways. But we do have conflicts. There are some court-appointed lawyers for those cases, with multiple defendants and conflicts and stuff like that.
And if I may add, Judge, that was one of the things that we put in the paper. I told them to address that with you all, is the difference between CPS cases and how they would work in a PDO versus a criminal case, because of the fact that there's so many attorneys on one case. Sometimes we have 3 fathers, 1 mother, and a child. And so you've got 4 attorneys right there that are statutorily required. And for a PDO, that would be almost impossible to do with the conflicts. So we did evaluate that as well.
Well, our PDO is funded by a grant
Right.
from the Texas Indigent Defense Commission, and it's limited to criminal matters. So they can't work on a CPS case.
Tanya, how hard would it be to look at the attorneys across the board? What our total budget is on them, to take the district courts, CPS?
I can look at it, I have a budget amount, so the issue, if you're, I will either have to go in and research and find out the dollar amount that we're paying and try to make that equitable, because they've all got different dollar amounts, is what I see. So, I mean, I can go in and look at it, but it will take a little bit.
Well, I'm not a subscriber to what you guys are talking about. If one employee comes in and asks me for a raise, that employee gets a raise, and the other ones didn't ask, they don't get the raise. Same way with my kids when they were growing up. When I'm asked for a cookie, they get the cookie. When the other one asked, why does he have a cookie? I said, because he asked. You're trying to head that off, I'm guessing.
Right.
Right.
But
I still don't subscribe to that view.
Yeah, but
As much as he doesn't like my salesmanship, I love that idea.
I'm doing what I can for you.
And you've asked. I think probably the best we can tell you today is we appreciate your dilemma, and we understand the need. We probably need to do a little bit more research and maybe a little bit more navel contemplating as to what we can really afford. But we do want to address this in the budget. So your trip was not wasted.
I'm glad to hear it, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. We
Appreciate your honesty.
If I follow up, when should I follow up, and who should I follow up with? I don't want to rush it.
Probably follow up with me, and probably, how many more workshops do we have?
before the end of the month.
Yeah, before the end of the month.
There's one on Monday,
One on Monday?
yeah.
Can I inquire real quick about something that Judge Palmer said?
Sure.
You said that you visited 2 other counties already, and they agreed to increase the rate to $90 an hour?
Kendall gave me an approval today, and then Uvalde County Judge Mitchell gave me a pretty sure approval last week. I haven't confirmed it with him, but he said that he felt that was reasonable.
Well, then let me ask the $64,000 question.
Okay.
What did Evans say?
Evans has not answered me yet. And I'm sure we all could agree why.
We know Richard.
It was very kind to me, but we have not finalized our discussion, so.
Well, how many people are we talking about?
I think I have about a dozen court-appointed attorneys that regularly work before me, and every once in a while, I'll get somebody else come in that takes a few cases, does some appeals, but I think it's right around 12, maybe 13 that I see on a regular basis.
And so that everybody understands, if you have a case in Kennel County, the rate will be different there than today in Kerr County.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, on your total budget request, would you, since you said you're doing some with Zoom, so if you increase the rate, would you increase your overall budget, or would you do it within the same total budget?
Well, I think, and that's why I was asking, that's a discussion that you all need to have as to whether or not it needs to be increased. I think based on the numbers from the last couple of years, it probably will. But, and again, I don't quote me on this, but because we're doing more Zoom, it might offset. I just don't know for sure. I'm not a numbers person in that sense.
Judges, is there any way that you can quantify the hours
on each case?
No, not on each case, just cumulatively for the year.
I can figure out something for the cases divided, the budget divided by the $70 are being paid and come up through us, so, and just give you a history that way. And then we'll know the number of cases on average, and then we'll apply the rate we all like to look at.
And there's also a recent development in the last couple of years. The state has required the attorneys to all use the same billing form so that it can be tracked as to how these hours are being spent. Are they being spent with clients? Are they being spent with children? And what are they getting paid? And it's promulgated to be used across the state so that everybody's on the same, because we used to receive all kinds of different types of bills. And it's hard to track the data, but now they're tracking it by statute.
And I believe that's going to be reported on the Texas Indigent Defense Council's report that we do already.
Yes,
So I
ma'am.
think this year is the first year where
Yes.
we're getting into that detail.
Correct. And it's every 2 years, I believe?
I hope it's every year.
So,
Maybe.
today's Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you follow up with my office, and this is Jody Grinstead, who is my court coordinator, and she finds me, trust me, and we'll get a response to you.
Will do. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Have a good afternoon.
Kind of refreshing.
One more quick one again.
On Department 630. This is first responder expenses. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about it on Monday, but Jonathan, I believe you were going to say something. It's in the request is 14,000, which is what it was the prior year.
We don't have
We don't have a page.
Okay, then
Yeah.
let's discuss that on Monday then.
Okay.
Will that be okay?
Sure.
Basic, do you want to say what you were
Well,
telling us?
I'll say it is that the EMS, well, that fund has been primarily $14,000, something like that. There is a concern in much of the rural parts of the county, east and west, about EMS service and the lack of it. And we met with, Don's been involved with this, and so was I. Met with Kerr Fire Department EMS and looked at the cost of adding ambulances. And I think in 10 years, that's gonna be the solution. Probably to add one, maybe in Center Point, one in Ingram, or somewhere out west certainly. But right now, makes no sense to do that financially. The numbers don't even come close. So the next best option is to increase and really push the first responder program, where we fund equipment to volunteers. We give them liability coverage, insurance coverage, and provide them with equipment, which is a defibrillator, radio, basic needs.
Make calls.
And that program's kind of been on limbo for a while. I've visited with Eric Maloney. He wants to try to really get that program going again. He's very familiar with it. And there may be a need for increased funding up there. Again, we're talking about from 14 to 25 or 30,000. It's not a huge number, but it's something that we're still looking at.
What can you do with that kind of money? It's not.
It's equipment for volunteers.
Yeah, just the
Buy
basic.
Buy the equipment.
So in precinct 3, there's an ESD now. There's going to be one.
Not mine, too.
That's two.
I'm sorry, 2. But it's going to serve that eastern part of the county.
That served mine. It served precinct 2 primarily. I mean,
It will serve wherever they're called
What are we talking about?
right.
with emergency services. With
What are we talking about? I'm
But
lost.
Harley,
about-
this will be, it's not necessarily the VFDs. A lot of them will be VFDs, but it's additional training they have to do
I
to
know.
be able to make these calls.
Right. So it would make sense with that kind of money to have the training. I don't know how much equipment you're going to pay for.
Well, it goes for training too. I mean, I worked with the fire department. They put on the training locally. It was very successful 5, 6, maybe 10 years ago. And for some reason, it has kind of just
Falling by the
falling by the
wayside.
wayside. A lot of our volunteer firemen, but they get certain training, they're certified, so they're able to get to an accident and talk to the ambulance while it's en route, or talk to a doctor at the hospital and administer initial aid, and they're covered and they're trained to do that.
You remember the workshop we had at the Ag Barn a few years ago, and I asked the previous fire chief, if I have a heart attack at Kreider's, who's gonna come? They're gonna send somebody out from Kerrville out there. Where if you got somebody at Hunt, that's one of these people that right there, you know.
Which, my understanding is that we have that. We have people that are
They don't
trained,
tone them out.
EMTs. Brian, that was in here a little while ago, was one of them.
We have them, we're trying to expand it.
Okay.
We have a few.
All right, now I get it.
Yeah.
So you were it was coming across to me that it's something new.
No.
You're not gonna get a lot with $14,000 is my
No.
point.
There's 20
You
or
can get
22
training.
of them right now in the
Yeah.
county, I think.
So Comfort Services Precinct 3, and it is an ESD, or I'm sorry, certified. It's certification is what we're talking about.
Right.
Really, that's what it's
But
talking
these are
about.
also even
Life-saving.
quicker than volunteer fire department. These are individuals. They don't have to be volunteer
Okay.
firemen.
But that's all we have now. Everything's associated with volunteer fire
No,
department. In the city of Kerrville, you have an ambulance service that goes out with the fire truck.
There are people that are not associated with, that are first responders that are not volunteer firemen.
Right. In the city.
No, in the county.
Where are they? Is it
Just individuals.
Batman or Superman or somebody shows up if I fall
Retired
down?
firemen or retired.
They get
you know,
toned out by
nurses, whatever.
EMS. EMS tones it out to them.
How many of those are there?
Not enough.
Well, apparently they're pretty scarce. They're like jackalopes. I never
That's the
seen
problem.
one.
That's what Eric Maloney is working on it and looking at it. We have, there may be, I don't know, 20 or 30 in the county, but how many are actually actively
Active.
helping?
Right.
Is another story. So we're just looking at beefing up that program as a good way to improve the EMS services in the county.
Okay, that's news to me. Do they show up with a badge? Am I going to recognize them?
Hey, if you're flat on your back, you'll welcome them.
When I was flat on my back, it was somebody that came from the Kerrville Fire Department
Right.
out to get me.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is being, and one of the other parts of it is, that you have to have a medical director, and there's a whole lot more than I totally understand with this, but medical director has to be over the program. The city of Kerrville is in the process of changing medical director and basically hiring UTSA to be the medical director, which is more beneficial, and once that's done, then they can go and push this program a lot more.
Now, does that, and so that requires any additional mutual aid or funding?
We have the
Letter of
agreements in
agreement.
place with the
They're all
Kerrville
there.
Fire Department already. It's just trying to expand the program and really get it working better than it is.
You know, you have somebody with some training that can be on the phone or radio with an ambulance that while they're en route, say this is what we're doing, consoling people, whatever. But they will have the training to do some things, and they'll have a defibrillator, and that's some of the equipment that we want to provide
Sure.
for these volunteers.
Yeah, we can have Chief Maloney hopefully maybe come Monday.
And he's big on it. I mean, he's done this before. I don't think the previous chief.
So let's follow up on this on Monday.
Yeah.
Okay. Tanya, what else do we still have?
Capital, we're down to capital outlay, salaries, additional personnel, and wage adjustments. The last
Okay.
four items.
And what's the tab for capital outlay?
There are some different requests for the capital outlay. You have requests from animal control, the sheriff's department, IT, and road and bridge.
What tab is it?
Is it, where are we
What
find
tab
that
is
in the
it?
book?
Scattered.
I'm sorry?
What tab?
It's all in different places?
Oh, it's in your first tab, there's gonna be just a capital outlay tab. That's where the summary is gonna be.
That's that folder, that vanilla folder.
In the first tab.
Okay.
Nothing in that one.
No, on that list, Judge, I believe, Ray, and the fire alarm system can be greatly reduced. Was it 10,000? They can go down to
You're gonna go at 600.
600?
You're gonna give it time out, brother.
Yeah.
So you'll see probably, we had put in a request, well, the fire alarm system, that was a pretty expensive item, but I found out later that it would work with a much cheaper system that wasn't quite as extensive. It's not integrated with the building, it's a ring type of system, so it's a lot less. And that was something we actually discussed in our advisory board for animal services.
And they're good with it?
Yeah, whenever we had a meeting, it was not our last meeting, the meeting before, I took a lot of questions about that. It's something that had come up over several year period.
Okay.
And I finally, decided that, hey, let's look into this and see. So I got one bid, which was 10,000. I was working on another one when we had another meeting, and once I said how much that was going to be, a ring system was satisfactory. So I didn't even know ring at the beginning of this did any of that. But the reason I put in for about 600 on that is because if we're going to get a ring system, I'd like to get one that has cameras as well, so that you can kind of see what's going on around there when there's nobody there.
Right, that's a very good idea.
So I do believe that we need a fire alarm system actually integrated with the building, but I think that we need to wait and see if we're going to get a new building or not later on. You also see in there, I apologize for some of this because it is me requesting things that I've had trouble getting this year. And some of these things that I requested may not be needed in next year's budget. I kind of mentioned this to you guys already, but it's regarding the purchase of 5 WatchGuard camera systems. I have actually ordered those already because I was budgeted for those this year, the current budget year. I finally was able to order them. They're not in yet. The timeline that they gave me on that is possibly right around October, whenever our budget changes over. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I have already made a PO for that. It just hasn't been paid yet. I guess I just need to make sure that I can still pay for those once October gets here, make sure there's still money in there for that.
We'll be watching that along with all the other vehicles that have not been in yet, so that we can adjust them in the budget for next year. If we're not getting them, especially they need to be received by September of the year.
So we can take it out of the budget request and it'll just be carried over if it's, who might?
Indirectly, it's going back into fund balance, so it would just show the greater fund balance for this year's budget, beginning fund balance, and your expenditures being a little bit higher.
But do we need to rebudget for next year?
We're kind of planning it by ear as long as we can. I mean, we've got another 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, and they told me to kind of check with them, see what's going on once we start getting into early September.
If it does not come in and we got it budgeted again for next year, we can move it back into a contingency fund.
Okay.
And out of it.
So we leave it in, for right now, we leave it in. Okay, that was my question.
So this is where then it kind of gets a little bit confusing, because then this next year, I'm requesting 2 more of those systems. Basically what I'm trying to do is replace all of the old, broken, and non-serviceable WatchGuard camera systems that are in our vehicles now. There's only one that works, and it doesn't work much. It works, if you open the hood of the truck, I know which wires to move around, and I can get it to work for a limited time. But these are old CD disc systems. They're not, you can't get parts for them anymore. They're not serviceable at all. And when they break, they break. And they're broken.
Yeah, we need, from a liability standpoint, they need to have cameras and protection.
Without a doubt.
So that was for the two, which that comes to right around 12,000. I think it was 11,000 something for those two. Of course, then you have to install them as well. Then we talked about the vehicle situation. I was budgeted this year for the two Ford F-150s, which were ordered in October of last year. We still don't have those, but they are still on order. We have several vehicles that are just having issues. They're ending up in the shop quite a bit. They're getting really costly to keep on the road. Those trucks still haven't come in, but they're on order. I did come back to Commissioner's Court, requested a couple of Tahoes because they had some available, which can be used by our environmental deputies. Which, just to be clear, they are out running calls. They go all the same places the sheriff's department goes. We end up in a lot of places. We never know where we're going to end up, anywhere in the county. But we don't necessarily have to haul anything in the bed of the truck much. We used to pick up some garbage and things like that. I kind of got away from that. Road and Bridge does the majority of that now. But I did go ahead. I was approved to place an order for one Tahoe, which I have done. However, that is not in yet either, and I don't know when that's going to get in here. So that one the Tahoe was already approved, so we'll need to have that leased through this next year. And then my request is for these two additional trucks to keep that order going in hopes that we get those so I can replace two more of these other vehicles that are getting old.
Greg, since you got the Tahoe, could we not get rid of one of these trucks? And you have the two that are currently ordered, they'll get here sometime. If that money we can carry over next year? Or do you need?
Wait a second, you lost me.
The original plan was two trucks this
Yes.
year and two trucks next year.
Yes.
You got a Tahoe this year, so that gets rid of one of those 4 trucks. So all you need is a total of 3 trucks in a Tahoe.
Well, and the other part is, since Commissioner's Court, I actually, because I was responding to different things in my own personal vehicle, Commissioner Harris did put an award with the sheriff, and I was able to get a 2013 Tahoe that they were about to, they had retired, and they were about to send that off surplus. So,
But that needs to go to surplus.
yeah, I mean, it's
after
nearing the
something
end
comes
of
in.
its life.
Yeah.
It's got 150-some thousand miles on it, but it's,
Well, we didn't need him out there driving his own vehicle.
No. So my question is, you had 4 trucks over the 2 years, now you have 4 trucks in a Tahoe. So can we get rid of one of the trucks?
well, so there is, it's just 3. It's because I requested the 2 Tahoes. Got a new one coming.
Right,
So there's not 2. So I got one,
right.
but I don't have it yet.
I'm not counting the old one.
No. But I have a new one on order.
Right.
And then 2 trucks is what I'm requesting, not 4.
So you had 2 this year and 2 next year.
Right, that I just,
Which total?
It's the same, it's the same order though.
Okay.
Basically, I'm not asking for 2 additional trucks next year on top of what I've already ordered.
Okay,
I'm asking
that's
for the
good.
2 that I ordered last year to be able to still hopefully get those at some point.
Okay, as long as the same, we're just carrying the 2 forward. Okay.
Does anything ever get traded in, or what are we doing with it?
Yeah.
Well, I
They
haven't
take
so
credit.
far had anything available to trade in. I can't get anything to replace anything else with. So,
Okay.
but yeah, eventually.
It's part of our enterprise deal.
Yeah. I thought you were supposed to turn one in and get
He's got
another.
my turn in.
Yeah,
Okay.
this will get interesting.
Well, I lost track of how many vehicles we were talking about, so.
Yeah, okay. All right, Reagan, I'm good.
But yeah, it's not 2 additional on top of the ones from this year. It's just keeping that order going. And
Okay.
hopefully getting.
Placeholder.
Good.
I think that's
That's it?
it. We're not talking about employee stuff yet.
Right now? Yeah, my capital outlay is $425,493. That's where we're at on that. And we are turning some in as we get them. We turn them in and trade them in. Then go back into the general fund.
How many vehicles is that?
That would be total, once they're all here, they're not here, it would be 21. But as of this time, it would be 17. That's for everything.
Some of them,
We're still waiting.
I hate to even ask the question, but are some of these trucks that were ordered this year that aren't coming in this year?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's the same thing as Reagan?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a bigger scale.
Yes.
Yeah, bigger scale.
Okay.
And we are turning them in as soon as they come in, ship them back.
Unless Reagan takes them.
Yeah.
Well, that was a favor for Don.
Okay.
Clean it up for him, fill it up.
All right.
Gave him a flashlight.
And that's it.
Anything else for the sheriff?
No.
Thank you. IT.
The biggest thing on mine is the phone system that we were trying to get. This is approximately $230,450. That's what we were quoted.
How much better is our phone system gonna be when we get this?
It better be a whole bunch better.
Well, that's what I think. Is ours current one just antiquated?
We've had it for 12 years, so the answer is yes.
Am I right in saying it's hard to even get?
We can't even get parts for it.
Can't get a new phone. So I have one person in my office who can't see who's calling, or they don't have speed dial on their phone. I mean, which is helpful. But I'm just saying, if it's not easy to just go out and get a new phone. I mean, you can't replace them.
Right.
And I know when certain people call me, their predecessor's name comes up. So for instance, like, I'm sorry, Cindy, when HR calls me, Cindy Sherwitz comes up, or Dawn Lance even. I mean, but Dawn Lance is the district clerk, and I don't know what the deal is. It's just, the system is really bad.
To answer your question, it wasn't a good system when we first bought it. It's
Okay.
been bad ever since we started.
Is each phone gonna be an IP address like the current thing?
Yes,
You
it
move
is.
a phone.
It's
you
still
move
going
phone,
to be a
it's-
voice over IP system.
Okay.
No matter
You
where
move a
go
phone to a new
today-
station, it's still you.
Yeah. No matter what we do today, that's
That's how it works.
how it works.
We can't
You're-
even remote into Zoom on it because it won't take none of those.
Yeah, your phone, your desk phone has become like your cell phone. So if that's your phone, that's your phone, it goes with you. I'm not sure everybody here knows that. That's the way it works.
The new system.
The new system, because apparently that is now the new protocol for everything.
Everything.
But the current system
I
doesn't.
just got a call this
The
morning.
current system does do it, and it's created a problem in Bob's office
Right.
because of that.
Well, it doesn't do it very well, because I can't.
No, it doesn't do it very well, but it does it. They had problems back there. You can correct me, Bob, if I'm saying something incorrectly, but you had problems where somebody would use one person's phone or try to transfer a call and so on. You have a division of what you have to do in your office with her.
We have a phone system consistently crashing where we cannot get calls. Probably the most problematic we ever had was on election day of 2020 when our entire system crashed. And in today's climate of election integrity, security, when nobody can call the elections office and the phone system has crashed, there's multiple concerns going out for that. And it not only crashed that day with the high volume, it's consistently crashing. And the only thing IT can do is tell us to unplug the phone and plug it back in. And we get, I'm not gonna say we get the largest volume, but we get one of the larger volume of phone traffic on a daily basis.
Sure.
Between our 3 divisions. And the phone system is totally outdated. And you've seen the amount of wiring that it takes to do it. I'm not saying that's going to eliminate it, but we put the last bit of duct tape and baling wire in the system we can.
Well, I think everyone agrees we need to do phone system.
Right.
We do.
Bruce, who's this new system through?
The proposal that we've chosen is through RX Technologies.
That's right.
RX? Yeah, we work with them.
Worked with them quite a bit.
We're in contract with them now, so.
And some of the other things that I have on the budget are to increase the number of licenses to get us current for Microsoft Office. That was $38,900. There are also just some infrastructure things. There's a $17,000 for improving the microwave and Wi-Fi. There is $12,000 for improving our server room monitoring systems. Some of them we have none. And when something goes down, it takes a little bit to know it. The rest of the balance is for just general replacements for desktops, laptops, monitors, scanners, that kind of stuff. That's all of my capital.
I'll make a comment, and Bruce, it's not directed to you. It's a general comment about county culture. And you talked about budget culture in the past. One of the things at the county that is part of our culture that is hurting us, and it's hurting us with the upcoming bond issue as well, is, and I'm not saying this critically, I'm just saying this objectively. We're so conservative and we're so tight that we don't keep things up like we should, and we make do. We make do with our rolling stock, we make do with our heavy equipment, we make do with our facilities, we make do with our computers, our phone systems, and it's come home to roost. The whole bond issue this time is just trying to catch us up for what we made do with for 20 years. Trying to catch us up. And here we are today looking at, and we're all heartsick, you look down here and say, here's $230 for a phone system, and here we go on the vehicles, and the time has come that we have to be a modern county. And as much as I don't like this, as bitter a pill as it is to swallow, we're going to have to start swallowing these pills and catch up. And so, again, no criticism, Bruce. We understand what we got to do, but we have to start doing more than just making do. Making do is not going to get the job done. So that's my 2 bits worth.
And I agree totally, Judge. I was second that. That's the, our software and our computers, the Word, I don't know where we're at now, but any of us at our home computers are probably far more advanced. Yes. And my computer's 5 years old at home. It's far more advanced than anything the county had, really. I mean, it's just the software requirements of nowadays exceeds what we currently have, and that's a problem.
And I don't mind saying, the public doesn't know this, but I don't use the county computers. I bring my own because I want the state of the art.
So do I.
Yeah, me too.
Judge, I related to, I've told several people, it's sort of like buying a new car, and once you pay it off, it's awful nice not having those monthly payments, and then 4, 5, 6, 8 years down the road, you think, oh boy, this is costing me, I got to get those payments again. And that's,
it costs a lot more than that first one cost.
yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Bruce. There's nothing else you can say. What do we have next? Maintenance?
Yes, but Judge, I believe this needs to be pulled from here. I believe he added that to his maintenance line item because it's really not a capital item. It's just
Okay.
improvements in there.
Okay.
So
Got
we
it.
will double check that.
Okay,
And then Road and Bridge is our last capital outlay request.
I see her hiding back there.
Yeah.
Come up, Miss Hoffer.
200,000 probably won't seem like a whole lot by the time I'm done here. The very first thing on our capital is a dump truck that we ordered on October 1. I talked to the salesperson from International. He went and he found our order. It's there, but they won't start the build on the truck until January 3rd. So, that top one that you see is a rollover. That's one that was budgeted for this current fiscal year. And I think I just got the news that it will be next fiscal year.
Okay.
We've got a lot of old equipment. I said to the court on the first budget meeting that probably 68% of our equipment needs to be replaced now.
Let's say that in a little bit plainer English. 68% of the equipment for Road and Bridge is obsolete.
Yes. Past its life. So we put together a plan. I sat down with the two crew chiefs. Cindy was in the meeting, of how we could tackle this. And, you know, we would just start replacing the big stuff like the wheel loader, motor grader, water truck, getting another dump truck. And every year it's going to be like this. It probably will never go away. You know, the total with that dump truck in there is $1,056,168.
But the dump trucks are all over from this year's budget.
Yes. So we've decided to try to do a little more rental this year on some of the stuff. So maybe we don't own as many motor graders as we have in the past. And we think that that would probably help, and not have every crew have a motor grader. Maybe we get down to 3 good motor graders. And if we get in a bind that somebody needs one and those 3 are being used, we'll do a monthly rental of one and then send it back. So most of this is just because we haven't been able to replace it. Your motor graders.
You've been making do, haven't you?
Yeah. And it keeps getting more expensive.
Is the monthly rental truly available? Where does it come from?
Oh, you can get that.
Yeah, any of your vendors. Caterpillar has a rental
But
fleet.
you're talking about your larger equipment, your larger road graders.
Motor grader.
Okay.
They're not rent cheap.
No. And I guess my point is that the people that have them are having the same problem we're having, and it's going to come into that rent rate.
Yeah, we could run into some of that. I don't think it will always be, you know, that we're going to run into, we're going to need four motor graders at one time. But the times that we do, where we kind of go, there's nothing we can do about this, we'll go into a rental on one of them. But this equipment we have to replace it. We will probably trade the equipment in. So we'll get a lot of stuff off of our inventory. We will cut our total inventory down a lot. But it will take time to get through all of this. And like I said, once we do, we'll just start over again.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, right now, we have 603 roads and about 460 miles. And as you keep adding more roads to our list, more and more equipment is getting used more and more. So I don't really ever see this changing. I just see it getting to be more. So.
Okay.
I wish I had better news.
So
We all do.
it's just
It is what it is.
It's just the dump trucks that are carryover.
Well, just the top one, the very first one, the 12-yard dump truck is the carryover. We've got a dump truck down at the bottom of the list, it's a 6-8 yard dump truck.
But in terms of the capital outlay request for this budget cycle, if we back out the rollover because we're just taking it from this year's budget and putting it in next year's budget,
Yeah, if you take that out.
$800,000 new capital request.
Yeah.
And that's going to be recurring.
I will say on this, too, and right now where we're at, how far all of this has progressed since COVID. And I know from a auditor standpoint that this is something that they don't like to do, and I'm not trying to step on any toes, but some of this stuff, if we can place orders in a current fiscal year for the following fiscal year, and most of the vendors that I buy this equipment from, I've dealt with them for quite a few years, you get a jump on these orders. And that dump truck, our salesman was like, if I can order this now, I can get it to you in your upcoming fiscal year. But the longer we wait, he said it's probably going to kick it into the 2 fiscal years. So it's just something to think about. Like I said, from an auditor standpoint, that may be totally breaking the law. I don't know, but I do know if you can get some of these, because everybody's ordering at the same time.
Vehicles and everybody, I mean, it's a different world.
They're spending their ARPA money, and they're snatching this stuff up, and the availability is gone down. That's what a lot of it is. Everybody's fat with cash, and there's not enough of this stuff to go around, and now you're gonna get
Demand is greater than supply.
Yes. Supply side economics.
And that's from the stimulus money.
Well, and so much of the parts for this are coming from all over the place, different countries.
Right.
So it's not like it's all US goods going into it at the manufacturing plant. So we've become very dependent on other countries for parts. So they might have 3/4 of a maintainer or a blade, but you're missing the other quarter to put it together.
Any other questions for Kelly? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all we have on capital outlay, Tanya?
Yes.
Okay, why don't we take about a 5-minute break? Before we come back to order, where are we now? Salaries?
Yes.
Okay.
County attorney's member.
Okay. I have 2 requests for salaries in my office. One of them is for a position that was vacated by a former assistant county attorney back in March. I've had 1 applicant for that position in all of this time, and it's an applicant who isn't even out of law school, or they may be now, but I haven't had any other interest in the office. So I'm asking for an increase in that position from $68,500 to $87,000. And that will bring that position up to the other assistant county attorney position that's about the same amount of responsibilities, and they would be able to focus on mostly our civil parts of what our office does. The last employee that I had who left was a very gifted employee who could jump on just about anything and take care of it, but he left for another position in another county making about twice as much. And so I hope that by increasing it to $87,000, it will get somebody to come to Kerr County and want to work from my office. That is one of those positions I'm requesting. Another position I'm requesting additional compensation for is one of my administrative assistants. I want to get her trained, which I have the money for in this budget year, to become a legal assistant. And so it would be moving her position from an 18 to a 21. She would retain her step of 5, and the difference in that would be $7,200, and she would take on several other duties, mostly helping in the criminal side of what our office does. Part of what I want for y'all to hear from me is that because of my longevity in this position with Kerr County as the elected prosecutor, the county gets an increase in the state supplement, so that the county will see an increase in $31,500 to offset the expenses of my office. I'm also asking for a new position, but we'll address that when it comes up. But the 2 shifts in the wages for my employees or hopeful new employee would be covered entirely by that, with some leftover, but it'll be covered by the supplement.
Well, you're asking for about 25 plus
Yes, sir.
increase.
Yes,
And you're
sir.
saying that's going to be offset by this increased supplement from?
Yes, the increased supplement will be $31,500 to cover the offset of the expenses, or offset the expenses of my office.
And who's that come from?
State of
State.
Texas.
You should take.
No, we get some supplements. I get a supplement. Several of us get supplements.
And so, because once you hit the over 8-year mark in this position, you get a increase in your state supplement, and it's significant this year. So it's not just because of the Kerr County Attorney's Office, it's because of Heather Stebbins and the Kerr County Attorney's Office and the number of years I've gotten to serve.
But the bottom line, and I'm just trying to characterize this the way I see it, you're being fairly unselfish with the supplement that your office is getting and using it for your employees to try to better your situation.
Yes, and no, because part of it I can't take over. My salary is capped, so I can't take. Okay. So.
But the point being is, you know you're going to get this money from the state.
Yes.
Supplement running your office.
Yes.
And it more than covers the increase in salaries that you're asking to try to improve the operations of your office.
Absolutely. In making these adjustments will help
I'm good with
improve
that.
these operations.
I'm good with that.
Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to get a good story.
It's an easy one.
Who's next? Oh, bear in the room.
I have to go before this guy.
Okay, follow that one, Larry.
Oh. I was afraid I was next. All right, this one isn't that bad. I know. Basically, I'm asking for 3 what I call reclassification in the sheriff's office. So what I've done in a year out is, kind of looked at, identified everybody's position, what we can do. Yes, I'll be coming at you for added positions, but in the meantime, instead of coming for a bunch of added positions, I looked at everybody's job description and what they're doing, and I found I can add extra duties to some of my staff instead of asking for new people. One of them happens to be my HR clerk, which I'm wanting to make into a human resource administrative assistant, which is basically going up 1 month from 16 to a 17. And the reason I want to do that, because all my other clerks are 17, I figure it'd be fair to be doing the same. I have added a lot of responsibilities to that position. I think, do y'all have this in front of me? Do y'all have in front of me the reclassification?
It's the
Your
second
letter.
one under the special request.
Yeah.
Where the amounts are listed.
Okay, yeah. Let's look at that. So that's the first one. Basically going from a 16-1 to a 17-1.
Where,
Right, the tab or so behind it, there's a bunch of letters.
oh, new position request?
Yeah.
No.
No? The salary?
Salary increase request.
Yeah, salary.
Yes.
Okay, you have letters.
Okay.
Okay. You go on to this.
Okay,
Okay.
got that one?
The second one I'm looking for is in the jail. I've had a conversation with Don yesterday, but we won't get into that as far as pay, but what I'm facing out here is, they're not knocking down the door to come and work at the jail or the sheriff's office anymore. Times have changed so much, y'all heard it over and over and over. But what I have to do as sheriff, I have the police department over here that has now opened up a lateral program in addition to their hiring the people, uncertified and put them through the school. That has created a pretty good problem for me, and it's only going to get worse. As a matter of fact, this week it got a little more worse. But I was ahead of the game there, so what I have to do is I have to implement that program myself, okay? And the jail is the perfect place to do it. So what I'm now doing, actually my first guy started today, and I paid for that out of my jail funds, commissary funds, is I'm going to have to start putting my own people through the academy. With that being said, like I said, we have the first guy going now, which the police department will hire you, put you through, pay you a very good salary while you go to school. I have a lot of jailers who want to be deputies. I'm not saying all of them would do it, but what we did is we put a program together, pretty intense program where they applied, they took a written test, physical test, old board, and then we rated them. Got the first guy. The thing is that takes 6 months long, okay? But I am sending one, and that will come up later when I ask for the added positions. But anyway, so I've got a guy in there now, and the reason for that is because I can't recruit anybody to move over here for the cost of living. Simple, can't do it. Used to could recruit a little farther, Bernie to San Antonio area. I have hired one guy from Bernie. Can't drive because of the gas. It's not worth it. So I am starting to have some position problems. I tell you, I talked to Don yesterday. We're going to meet next week. Having a lot of problems in the jail, because they can hire a guy out of my jail for $10,000 right off the bat, and want to go over to the police department, go put through school. That's a big problem we're going to have. So to counter that, this position I wanted to change from a jailer to a special operations sergeant is this guy's going to go to the academy. He's going to stay back there in the jail, but he's going to oversee this program. I call it a program for, from jailer to certified peace officer. And he will oversee that. In addition to that, he will be overseeing an armed guard program. I'm trying to do everything I can within the jail part to help patrol, because we can get on that later. We're getting beat up in patrol. That's just the bottom line. But a lot of my deputies, when a prisoner goes to San Antonio, it has to be a deputy that watches him. Here, we can get away with a jailer, but it has to be a deputy. That happens quite often. That just takes one more guy off patrol. In doing this, what I'm doing is basically these will be deputies assigned to the jail, and they're able to go do that. They're able to do some transports, which will free me in patrol where I don't have to use them as much. Also, this position I'm asking for, I'm gonna bring back the CERT program. It's the Corrections Emergency Response Team. What that is, that's like a CERT team. So you'd be surprised how many people get locked in the cell and they don't want to come out, or there's something wrong and they got to go in there and get them. I've got all the equipment for that. I've just upgraded the equipment last year, but we need to put that together. So this position I'm asking for is actually probably going to have the most duties over anybody back in the jail, but I feel like he needs to be compensated for that. So that's why I asked for this reclassification from a jailer to a sergeant, basically. And like I said, this guy will go to the academy in October, but I'll be paying for that out of some other funds.
How long is the schooling?
6 months. I've got a guy in, as soon as he comes out, he gets out in January. I got a guy retire. I'm anticipating 4 positions from here to the end of the year. And I was not anticipating all those. One I was anticipating was the one in December, but this guy gets out in January, so he's gonna go straight to that position. Next year, I'm gonna send at least two to the academy. Problem with that is that hurts me for 6 months because I'm a little light in the jail, but I've got to do something to retain people here because I can't attract them anymore. I mean, we're just, especially with the police department, I give them credit, it's a good deal, but they make significantly more money.
Can you tell me salary?
It started out, you're right, at $8,000 or $9,000. I've prepared something for you. I'll show you next week. But like I said, you can go there out of jail and get a, an $8,000 to $10,000 range, depends how much time you have. But the lateral program is what's hurting me. I know we have the step system over here, in grade, but over there, you can come over there lateral. I have a guy that's probably going to get hired over there. He's going to get about a $14,000 raise. He was one of my best deputies. Yeah, I'm going to go over there, and that's just crazy. But those are the things I have to face. So like I said, I am anticipating 4 openings between now and then. So I have to do what I have to do to kind of keep it going, but my goal is to recruit out of jail. I mean, I got good guys back there. 6 of those are my best deputies. It's just, 6 months to get out of the academy. Only planned for 1 this year. Maybe try to do 4. I know at least 2 to 3, hopefully next year. So it's kind of where I'm going to try to recruit out of. Yes, we have to train them, but I'm going to go the route of training them how we want them. And then, it's got to be a local guy too. The police department, I know they've hired several people, a lot of them around San Antonio. And, but I want people who are going to stay here. So that's why I asked for that one.
To me, it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It goes along with all the other growing pains we've had, road and bridge, and the volunteer fire departments, sheriff's department, more people, more need.
And I appreciate I used to call it an imaginative way to try to get people.
We have to, yeah.
All you can do is try to think, different ways to attract them, because you can't, money isn't it, and I know the younger people, the benefits, even though ours are great.
I face that every day. The people, the young people we hire, they only care what's on the check every 2 weeks. I know I do always promote the retirement, since our benefits are by far great, better than I have at DPS some more. But, when I'm fighting that, trying to recruit that 20-year-old jailer, it's kind of hard to sell them. That. But I mean, we've been real fortunate, but I do see in the last couple of weeks stuff's come up that's created some problems. And, some people have to go where the money is. It's not always greener over there. We'll figure that out.
But those are new hires, right?
No, these are just reclassifications. We haven't got on new. There's one more reclassification when you're ready.
You may have shown that one as an,
Yes, reclassification.
We'll get that changed.
Yeah, that's a reclassification.
So is it in here someplace at all, or?
Yes, it is under the new hire request, it is the very last one, under the new hire, it says jail operations sergeant.
Okay.
Okay.
And really, it should be, the one above just happens to be a new position for a correction officer. And so we thought this one was a new position also. So we'll move it to the other one, and it'll be the difference between the 41,850 and the 47,362 is what it is.
So we're clear, I just wanted to take a current position and move it to a sergeant. Not a new, this is a new position.
So in the new hire positions, and I'm confused, frankly.
The summary sheets are confusing, I agree. I mean,
But if I look under the tab that says new position request, what I see for the sheriff's office is a request for a patrol deputy,
Yes, sir.
a request for an additional corrections sergeant with job title description reclassification from corrections sergeants to jail operations sergeant.
No, that shouldn't be there, that should be under reclassification.
Okay, but it's there. Okay, I got it.
Okay,
We see
that's
that.
the only difference.
And then I see an additional forensic SOD investigator.
Yes, sir, that's when we get to the new positions.
Okay.
I have one more reclassification
Okay, then the
of the emergency
reclassification.
management position.
Right. And I look into that, and all I see is the emergency management coordinator, and then the HR clerk, and then something from Lucy Wilkie. I don't see anything else from you in my notebook.
It's in a different spot in your notebook. We've got them in two separate spots. We've got them divided between the special request and the new hires.
Okay. Well, so the one that was under new hire, that's a reclassification, really belongs over in this.
Yes.
Okay. I can fix that.
Thank you.
Did you have that problem?
Yeah, I couldn't find it.
Okay. So the last one you have to talk to us about is immersion management
Yes,
coordinator?
Judge, I might need you to help me a little bit on this one. I kind of referred Dub to visit with you on it. It was my understanding Dub visited with me and said he had prior arrangements with Sheriff Fairholzer in his position, from a 22.5 to a 26.5. Basically, I'm here to support Dub, as you know what he does. I mean, basically, he's on a regular deputy pay, but to put him in line with other emergency managements in the area, that's why I'm making this request. I mean, it seems like we've been pulling more and more on Dub, and he's been doing a really good job out there, and he's staying busy, especially with the fires and COVID. So this is basically a reclassification with Dub's position, emergency management coordinator.
Definitely an asset, whether it be ice storm, all these huge fires or whatever. He's on top of it.
It's been a little bit busy this year.
Yeah.
Dub did talk to me.
Okay.
And I've been through the CERT program. I'm CERT qualified, and worked with Dub. And his understanding with Sheriff Fairholzer when he came here to do the emergency management was that he would be under the supervision of the KCSO, but he would be treated as other emergency managers, and has been.
Yeah, he does. He's also Ingram.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. And but his salary has not kept pace with what other emergency managers are making. And so he came to me and reminded me of that, and I've talked to the sheriff about that.
Yes.
That's all true. So
I just wasn't familiar with what Rusty told me, that's why I felt comfortable telling him to talk to you about it.
So,
That's the last one.
any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay. So I think that's what we've got for the sheriff?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Who's next?
Veterans Service Office.
Okay.
Good morning, or
Good morning.
afternoon, I'm sorry.
Is there a tab for this?
It's on the list further down.
Down from Doug.
2 or 3 down.
3 or 4 o'clock.
So, update, Marty has been extended till next April.
Really?
Yes, sir. And that's where we're at on that.
So that is official. That's,
Yes, that is official.
The next April.
Yes, sir.
Jenna, I gotta tell you, you and I've talked about this. I'm not sure she's coming back.
no.
Probably not, but that's not my place to say, so,
Well, but it's our place to plan.
yes, sir.
And just as I gave you the Above and Beyond Call of Duty Award this week, we need you to stay.
Yes, sir. So that's my update, which originally I had requested, I'm usually part-time, and I've been placed temporary full-time while Marty's been gone. So the plan always, when she came back, was I would go back to part-time, but due to just a series of unfortunate events, I requested to stay full-time till the end of next year so we could get caught up on our backlog. But I'm assuming you'll allow me to stay full-time until.
We're asking you to
next
stay
year.
full-time.
Yeah, so it's a little difference now with that new information, so.
But just kind of back the train up so we know where we are. The Veteran Services Offices, the VSO, has in their budget, a full-time position and a part-time position. And Marty was the full-time and you were the part-time.
Yes, sir.
And that was at your request and satisfactory at that time.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's what you applied for.
Right. And with Marty's call to active duty, you stepped up and became full-time.
Yes, sir.
And we've now gotten you completely up to speed with benefits and everything for the full-time position.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so we still have that in the budget, and we want you to stay, and you are offering to stay, so we've got that position filled. But we still have a part-time position that is unfilled.
Yes, sir.
Now, a conversation that you and I had, and I don't mean to betray confidence, but that we had about this, is the plan was to try to get you to stay full-time after Marty came back
Yes, sir.
to catch up the backlog. And that's what we told the Veterans Advisory Council earlier this week. And that would have had what I call 2 aces handling veteran services was what we need probably to get caught up. We only have a half-time position in the budget right now.
Yes, sir.
Should that really be a full-time position?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
I think so.
It's
I'm thinking that
we've had a
myself.
very, very big increase with veterans. I mean, it should be, every veteran honestly should try to get benefits.
I think everybody needs reminding that, one is that Alan Hill deceased, and that took care of, a certain amount of volume. The VA has a similar position out there who's not there, so their load is really tripled.
And the VA person's not licensed, I don't believe.
That's correct.
Or accredited, rather, not
That's
licensed.
correct.
Accredited is correct.
But we need another accredited person, don't we?
We really need.
You are an accredited part-time.
Yeah, and I am accredited, and
Yeah.
there's a series of things we have to do to get
Right.
accredited and stay accredited, and I definitely on top of that. So no problem with me being accredited. Having someone else come in, it's going to take time with training and to get them up to speed to where they would need to be. Because you have to also do a background check and you have to take a test, and there's some other things behind it. So, but there is a pretty big backlog. The VA did hire, I'm sorry, the TVC did hire another claims benefit advisor, and they are at the Kerrville VA, but they just started a few months ago. And he does good from everything that I have with him, but it just put me at the senior experience level for Kerr County, as far as experience and everything goes.
So, I mean, what would the step and grade be of a permanent assistant? What was your step and grade before you became the interim?
I don't have that information with me, I'm sorry.
Well, I can look it up, or we can look it up.
I think it was a
Get cut through,
17.
we just need to add a position.
Add that in.
At that level.
Okay.
We need to make sure that she's getting what Marty got before, because she's went through the training.
Right.
And
She's
I
certified.
think we're all kind of agreed, we're gonna have to make the assumption she's gonna run it, we need to get her help.
Right.
Whatever that
The
means.
same step and grade full-time that you were at as the assistant.
And I will add to it, but I really do think it needs to be a second full-time for a period of time. She's been working for quite some time solo, so that she has to take appointments, and that means we have a lot of people calling that don't get served well. And voicemail, no one wants the voicemail, and it's getting behind. It's gonna take, I think, a couple of years to get caught up if they do that properly. And the benefits to the county, I think, are there.
I agree. And one of the things that makes this different than any of the other considerations or requests that we've had is the county does not have to provide for veteran services. That's optional. We learned that several years ago.
Yeah.
That's something we do because we think it's the right thing to do. But more importantly, we make a lot of money because of what they do. And you heard Gary's report.
Right.
We're up to almost $1.7 million now. Income that comes into this county just because of the veteran benefits. And that has
They bring
value.
money here, the veterans pay taxes on that money that they get.
Yep.
And
So I see no reason for us not to go ahead and do right here.
Well, when you get hired as the part-time hand, and then the person you're helping leaves, and now you're the full-time hand, but you don't get a part-time hand for you, that's not what most people sign on for. Right, Jenna?
Correct.
That was a fast, advanced promotion that you didn't necessarily want. But you've done it very well.
Thank you.
So,
So I think we ought to put a full-time position in the budget.
I agree.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on veteran services? Next,
Animal services.
animal services.
Okay, I guess, this is for the salaries. I had specifically asked, this was actually was part of something we talked about in Commissioner's Court last time, I think it was last time, where I was approved to reclassify one of our kennel tech, full-time kennel tech positions to a receptionist position. That way I can move the administrative assistant into an actual administrative assistant role instead of working as the receptionist at the front desk. We talked about all that, but what I was requesting was, when our new fiscal year rolls around, moving that person from a 14 grade to a 15, which would get them up to what the animal control officers are and what the other office personnel are. So our kennel techs are 14s, office personnel are mostly 15s, of course, administrative assistants up from that. But this is to get that individual basically up to where others are in the office. And I believe that would, let's see here. That would increase from where we are right now. Current kennel tech salary, grade 14, starts out at $33,529.60 annually. This would put them at $35,214.40, which not even a $2,000 a year. So it's not a huge, but it's something I think that we should probably do.
They need to be classified based on what the job they're doing and this increased responsibility, so it should be go from a 14 to a 15.
Common sense.
And is this time talking about a reclassification as well?
You also have a kennel time, part-time to become a full-time.
Yeah, so I don't know, I guess it's not really necessarily a reclassification, but I guess it's kind of adding a position. What I'm trying to do is use existing personnel to basically add a full-time position to the department with somebody who is a part-time employee right now.
Special request.
It's the next page after what we were on before.
Special request, so it's going from part-time to full-time.
I understand what y'all are saying, I just don't have that page.
Yeah. Same page that Doug.
It's just the next one over.
So it's a special
It's rolled up.
There you go.
Yeah.
And this one should have.
Next one.
He doesn't have it.
I don't have it.
How about you?
No, I don't have it.
Two of them? Maybe.
Trying to keep you in the dark, Jeff.
That's the way I felt last time we were doing this.
Okay.
I kept talking about somebody.
Yeah, we just said that's Harley.
So you're taking a kennel tech, a part-time kennel tech, and making that a full-time kennel tech, which kind of is the adjustment we talked about before.
Yeah, basically, and moving and reclassifying one of the full-time kennel techs to be a receptionist.
Right.
We're leaving only one full-time kennel tech still at the facility. 2 part-timers, 1 full-timer, okay? What that's gonna do, if we don't have the part-timers there all the time, and let's say inevitably we have somebody sick or on vacation, there could be a situation where we end up with no kennel techs. We'd be set up better if we have 2 full-timers. I just basically am wanting to do away with one of the part-time positions completely and make one of those a full-time.
Okay.
And this is all part of the whole thing of you basically moving administrative assistant to being a real administrative assistant?
Yes, this is basically part of our move over there.
Okay. I'm good with that. And that's kind of the general approach we tried to use, to go from a part-time to a full-time rather than jump into a full-time until you're sure you need it. Right. All right.
But I think in the future, if we do this, we won't need to fill that. I can't see a reason to fill that part-time position again. We'll just do away with it.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it for me.
Okay. And next is treasurer.
Yes. Can I switch with you? Thank you.
So I requested the part-time position that is earmarked, if you'll recall, when I took payroll into my office, my existing part-time person we made into full-time, but kept the part-time position that I had in there as an earmark to see how things would go. With the additional duties and the workload, I've had to restructure what that new full-time person does for workload and separation of duties. And so she's really full-time, and I need another full-time I've taken back a lot of the stuff that I had given to that person originally, and so I need to offload that and also catch up because of those new duties and because of moving to Encode 10 next year. It's gonna create even more workload in our office. So the part-time position is already in the budget. I would just like to make that full-time.
The only thing that
I think about or wonder about is, you know, we had payroll in another office and transferred it over to your office. And now we're adding the position, but we still have the same amount of people where we were before. And that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, at the moment, we don't have all those same people.
Well,
but the positions are staying there, you're saying.
I think that's a different,
Yes.
that's a different discussion in my mind.
Exactly.
I think so too.
But still.
No, but he's
it's an
talking about
increase.
the number of employees to cover the same amount of work.
Yes, that's the issue.
But what you're asking us to do is to take a part-time employee that's grade 17, step 1, and just make them a full-time employee.
Yes, the position is currently vacant right now.
Okay.
And you would have no part-times in your office then?
Right.
And that's because of the additional workload, the different duties, and in code 10 coming.
Correct.
Got it.
And then an increase for yourself, correct?
Yes,
5%.
that was gonna be next, right.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Okay. So that's really just, again, for the additional responsibilities and duties added to my office. I just thought I would bring that up. Because at the time that you came to me asking to take on that duty, it's middle of the budget year and that couldn't be discussed anyway.
Well, I think you requested it though, didn't you? I mean.
I requested it 4 years ago, and it didn't happen. And then I was approached to take it on and asked if I was still willing, and I said yes.
A little history on this salary position, not that that's totally relevant, but a little bit. When I first became the commissioner, the treasurer, the district clerk, county clerk, and tax assessor were all paid the exact same salaries. And it stayed that way for a while, and then some light bulb went off at some court during that period and said, you know, these people have a lot different responsibilities, some are managing a whole lot of employees, some are managing 1 or 2 employees, and all those salaries were adjusted based on workload, responsibility, things of that nature. So they all became different salaries. And the treasurer was on the low end of that group because smaller office, less responsibility. Was the feeling of the court anyway. Treasurer may feel differently. But, and this is adding responsibility back to that office. So to me, this is appropriate. It's kind of, you know, historically, this is kind of how, why her salary got to where it is, and get more responsibility that you get paid. We've done it consistently.
Now, the number of people in your office does not necessarily reflect the importance of the office.
Not the importance, but it doesn't, there's a certain management function that goes in when you have a lot of employees.
Sure. Headache factor.
Yeah.
So, but the treasurer's office is very important, as everybody knows. So.
I mean, I think it's a reasonable amount for the treasurer to ask for. And I think the other side of it, we would look at the HR position. Comments? I hear silence. Yeah.
I agree.
Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the tax office. You've been awfully quiet back there, Mr. Reeves.
Isn't that how you want it, Judge? Did the court receive the letter which I delivered to the judge and HR and everything?
Yes.
Without going to an extent, I currently have 16 employees. I'm going through the same problem probably anybody else in the courthouse and everybody else in Kerrville, attracting and retaining staff. I'm not asking for any new staff. I'm simply asking for 2 positions within my staff to be brought up from a 15 to a 16. Simply, I cannot hope to retain employees if the only pay raises they will see is once every 3 years plus cost of living when they're going above and beyond. Every time our friends go into session in Austin, it requires more and more training, which is, my supervisors cannot supervise and take care of the day-to-day and do the training. So I'm going to ask the court's approval to at least give me 2, what I'm calling training positions. I've outlined what their additional duties would be. This would require new job descriptions, and simply to move them from a starting of a 15 to a 16 with the appropriate longevity that's already in place. Those are the 2 requests that I submitted on June 9th. I have one additional request that has come up, but I feel it would be in the best interest of us all and not to draw the wrath of the county attorney if I could discuss that at a future court meeting in executive session.
Okay.
I think that would be the most appropriate way to handle that,
Okay,
if that's all right with the court.
sure.
Then we're gonna have a short executive session meeting on Monday for a couple of different items that could be added to that one.
Ms. Greenstead could add it to the agenda. I
Good.
just feel it would be the most appropriate way to handle this.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Judge, can I add one more? We haven't discussed it, the magistrate position. It is a new hire. It is on the new hire list. I don't have a lot of information, I believe. Judge Mitchell. Judge Mitchell, yeah, passed out I do not have a ballpark. She passed out, I believe it was an Attorney General opinion that talked about under how Kerr County could appoint a magistrate.
You know, the way I understand this, and I could easily have a misunderstanding of it, but the legislature changed this up last session. And each of our JP's magistrate cases, it was discussed that there would be somebody, is this a supervisory position, or what am I forgetting about?
No, what this is, the way I remember it, and I've got copies of this on my desk, this is the Damon Allen Act. The last legislature, passed a law requiring certain questions to be asked and the answers to be data input into a software program, which is much more time consuming for what the magistrates are doing right
That's
now.
what it was.
And we have our 4 JPs and the municipal judge, Kerrville municipal judge, all magistrate. And they are doing this themselves in addition to everything that they doing before, having their jurisdiction, the amount of controversy doubled, and it is an imposition on our JPs and the magistrates.
In the opinion of some of them, because
But it
I've
has
talked
to be
to
done.
some that say it's not all that hard.
Right. I've heard the same.
So it's a mixed bag as to whether or not it's genuinely necessary or just a nuisance or.
Well, but it has to be done.
Has to be done.
A couple of years ago, when Rusty was here, y'all remember
I do.
that y'all worked with Rusty and Andy Murr, and legislation was passed authorizing Kerr County to create a magistrate position because, well, it needed the legislative action to give you permission to do it. And so it's a position that's already been created so that there could be someone who could magistrate full-time out at the jail and be there more of a regular position.
We got the position created back then. Is that
Yes.
right? I remember that.
That was created back then.
But that was, what I remember about that was that we needed a magistrate, a full-time magistrate at the jail. That's what
Yes.
we really needed. And that would be the relief for the JPs, to be able to have that magistrate there. And we decided not to do it at the time.
And that's what
Or really, it was really inaction. We just didn't do anything.
Right.
And now due to the new laws that got passed, the duties out there have increased due to what you said earlier, which is why I think this is coming before.
Well, a lot of it has to do with bail and bonding, and there has to be a more exhaustive interview of each inmate, each accused.
It's another layer, a checklist.
Yes.
And that's basically what it is, more finger work.
Well, yes. It is.
I mean, I think what Judge Mitchell, the reason it's on here is not to necessarily hire the position, but is to, if it's not in the budget, it can't be done, and we don't know if we'll need it or don't need it.
Right.
That's
Right.
kind of as I understand. So we don't
And
know if
that
we need it
makes
or not,
sense.
but if we don't account for it, we can't do it.
I think it's new enough where there's not a consensus amongst the four of them.
Right. So what to do.
Well, actually, I think we're kind of vacillating back and forth.
So what we could do, I mean, what we've done in the past in spots like this, you budget half a year. You know, just so you don't have too much of a budget impact for a position that has to be approved by the court.
Well, what
So
would it be? That's why I asked about the ballpark. If we're gonna drop some figure in there, it needs to be an attractive figure, or at least a common.
Right, it needs to be.
It's statutory.
Statutory.
It has to be the amount of what the JPs make. It has to be what their baseline salary is in the
Right.
language of the legislation.
And the money comes from the general fund, or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes.
we put 35, half and something like that in the budget, and then
we
hopefully not
need
have
it.
to use it.
Yeah.
Or we could put it in contingency and move it in later. Which is,
Well, I like that better.
I mean, so do I think, because it's,
I don't think we're going to find a part-time magistrate. Can't.
Well, I don't think he was referring to that.
No, I was saying,
that we may not
You're
hire.
just talking about just a placeholder for the money.
I'm just saying you just don't hire until mid-year.
Or till, would,
But put it in contingency, put another 30,000 or so in
In case we do.
contingency, and then at least there's some money to do something. Because if you're
It's gonna be a process anyway. There's gonna be a job search and posting and everything else,
Yeah, it
if we
takes-
do decide to do it.
It's appointed by some of the other judges in the building. Both of the district judges and the county court law judge would appoint that person. They would choose the person and appoint them. And then, I think that part of the argument that I've heard for it is that the increase, like what the judge was saying, the increased duties of the JPs, not just putting in numbers and information out of the jail, but other increased duties of the JPs really require more of their time. That their time out at the jail is limited and they can't spend as much time out
Still, I think you put the money, a placeholder in contingency, and if we have to do it, if we have to do something, we have to do
Yeah.
something.
We have permission to do it. We don't know if we really need it, because again, there's not a solid consensus among the JPs.
I know.
If somebody asked most any of us, do you want some more paperwork to do? I know what my answer would be.
Give it to Jody.
That is his answer, that's not my
only one voodoo doll.
Well, we got to laugh about this or we'd cry.
There's a lot of extra
So,
stuff.
in contingency.
Okay, I will add it to 409 non-departmental for the meantime.
And along that line, I like putting it in the contingency that's subject to this court's authority. I'm still in favor of a bigger contingency fund for the court to manage, instead of everybody building your own little private contingencies into your budgets, which we know you do.
Right.
We can't stop that, we understand. But we're trying to get those to be smaller, and the ones that we see, that we have greater flexibility to be able to meet the needs as they arise.
Just a category too, yeah.
And Judge, there's one more that was left off. The county clerk brought it to my attention. She had asked for additional position, but it is one that's fully funded in Fund 41. So that's not on here, but I think she got a thumbs up that day, so I kind of left it off.
I thought we were fine with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it was a different fund.
That's what we meant to tell you. I don't know if it came across.
And I only bring it up because, you know, I don't want
I know.
there to be any surprises.
No, we
later.
remember it.
Okay, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So include that one in the next budget. What now?
Wage adjustments.
Okay, wage adjustments.
Okay, just a second. The investigator position. Oh, you were exactly right. There is.
What is that?
one
Yeah,
is-
I saw that earlier.
Yeah, I have one more.
Go ahead.
One more request, and y'all might not like it as much as you did the others. 'Cause-
You went that same
Oh.
sales
What a lead-in.
Boy, your popularity was short-lived.
I'm sorry, but I have given y'all a few warnings over the past couple of years. I'm asking for a new position, and it's an investigator position in the upcoming year. And this will help our office's efficiency in reviewing cases and working with law enforcement, working with victims, getting people and witnesses and victims ready for trial, getting cases ready to file or not. It will help move cases faster. We're in trial every other month, jury trials every other month for county court at law. Every month we have a trial setting for our JP courts. We have contested motions every month, and this is just for our criminal docket. And then on the other end of that, we have our regular arraignments and pre-trials every week for our county court at law. We have JP courts for all 4 of the JP courts. And on the civil side, we have our mental health and juvenile, an investigator would help with our juvenile cases as well. But I am not too much help to the adult criminal part because I spend all of my time being the government lawyer. And so adding an investigator to my office would really, really help my prosecutors.
So this one person would do all that you just expressed?
They would help with every criminal case that comes into our office and before it even goes to the prosecutor for review to file or not.
Basically, what she was describing to you, that's what the assistant county attorneys do.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what, I mean, you oversee all of it, but they do it. And they're spread all over the place. And I bump into them everywhere. And they do it on their own. They don't have any help. And so, just like the DAs have investigators, county attorney doesn't have one. And there's all kinds, and these are not felonies, but they're all important things that have to be adjudicated, and the lawyers are having to do it pretty much just on their own. We got one legal assistant, right?
Right now, well, we have one criminal side legal assistant.
But
And
a legal
one-
assistant is not an investigator.
That's right, she's not an
Yeah,
investigator.
right.
And having an investigator who's a peace officer in the office would be so helpful and carry burden from not only the legal assistant, but from the prosecutors. It would give them time to be in court and prepared without sometimes flying by the seat of their pants, which is what we do sometimes.
You're making my eyes bug.
What's that?
You're making my eyes bug out.
I know, I'm sorry. So what the new position I'm asking for is commensurate with the new position that was created in it wasn't created, was put into the 216th with a starting salary of $60,700. Well, not starting, maximum salary at that amount. Some of that, not a lot, just under $6,000 of it would be covered by that state supplement. But it is a request.
You spend it all,
Spend it all.
if this gets approved.
If it gets approved, that. And if it doesn't, it will go to offset other expenses of the office. The balance of it.
The fund you're talking about, the money that came to your office because of your tenure,
Yes, sir.
does that increase over time?
It does increase over time. I don't know when the next increase would be, maybe at 12 years. Hopefully I'll be here for that. Maybe. This might be the cap.
This may be the cap.
Okay.
But it keeps coming.
It keeps coming every year, yes. They will, it's not just one
If
year.
it's capped out at $31,000, it's still an extra $31,000 annually?
Yes,
Okay.
we actually get 84,000 for that.
Right.
Where's the rest of it go?
A portion of it goes to pay her salary.
Okay.
All the other department heads and electeds are going, how do we make that work for us?
The other prosecutors and judges do get state supplements as well, so.
Yeah, I've seen the paperwork.
But that's all, the state does that.
Yeah.
And they do it in part because they want people to stay in their jobs, and they know that a lot of times the employees who work for local governments and serve in this way really are doing it. We're doing jobs that not a lot of attorneys want, and a lot of attorneys can go do other things for a different kind of money. And shiny shoes.
Yeah. And so this, again, this is like what we were talking about earlier with the Veterans Office. With judgments against people, that increases the income into the county. So you want more people paying things off than going to jail and feeding them every day. So
We
like
want
that.
a safe public. We want people to be safe.
Yeah, I get that. This guy handles the bad guys.
He does handle the bad guys.
You pin the crook down and make him pay.
That's true.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Before it gets any later. Oh, any question?
I'm done,
Anything
unless you
else?
have any questions.
Anything else for Ms. Stebbins? Okay.
Okay,
Sheriff?
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Get out of your way.
Okay, Judge, this will be under the additional personnel.
Okay.
This, the first one's a jailer. I know this doesn't make sense. I sat up here before and told you I was getting harder to fill positions, and I'm asking you for 3 more positions in different fields here. One of them is a jailer position. Like I said, the guy I've got in school right now, I have taken one off a shift. I kind of did what I had to do to keep going. My goal is to have actually 2 in time, 2 jailers that are not assigned to a shift. That way I can have somebody in school, I want to put 2 a year, they're 6 months long, that's 2 guys. But when they get back out of school, while they're waiting to go on the road, there's additional duties like I talked to you. These will be deputies that can do stuff, that they can work on a shift, they can do, they can go to the hospital, they can go to San Antonio, they can do transport. So there's several other duties they can do. Whether those 2 will ever be filled, I don't know, because right now we're starting to have some transition going on. But anyway, this one jailer, that's why I asked for this position. As you know, it takes one correction officer to 48 inmates. We run about 225 to 230. Okay, that doesn't count a person in control, doesn't count a person in booking. So those are things, for us to ever go up over 250, we need 4 more to cover each shift. But this guy, like I said, this is part of my recruiting program, a guy that I don't have to pull off a shift. He's kind of out here, but he will have other duties once he gets out of school, pending he gets on the road. That's this position.
This is the 18.5 position?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions about that? What else you got?
Okay, the deputy position, that one kind of sells itself. That's probably the busiest one. I can give you stats all day long, but basically the bottom line is I intend on asking for a deputy for the next 5 years. Could I use 4 or 5 right now? Yes, but of course that's not reasonable. I can go on and on. Like I said, our call volume is way up. Our mental health transports, averaging 1 a day almost. That's way up. Human smuggling is at least once or twice a week. The county's growing. We're just getting busier. We really need 1 each shift. But this was my approach I talked to you about. We would look at having 1 each year. Eventually we'll get there. In 4 to 5 years, how much is the county going to grow? Maybe we can do 2, but...
And of course, this has to take into consideration the added demand because of England.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, we're coming.
That's not lost on me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have. But no,
I would.
you know, and not only that, you know, it's, I'm kind of worried when school starts. I mean, the request I get regularly for schools and subdivisions and churches for presents, we can only do what we can do. I'm looking in about a month, we're gonna be real busy for requests. You know, they want our presence, they just want us sitting out there. You know, you got one deputy per district, it's kinda hard to do. You have multiple schools in the area. So I only look at it getting busier when school starts. But I think this is a start in the right direction.
Okay, next.
Okay, the forensic investigator, that's one, I had 3 narcotic investigators. I borrowed one to see this pilot program in the forensics. It's been successful. It's to a point where, you know, I'm ready to ask for a position for that. They're making several cases. What it is the Secret Service, he's a task force officer, and they basically invested, I think at this point, a little bit over $250,000 in us in equipment and training. We've got one guy that's full-time that I borrowed that position from narcotics. There are 2 other guys in the training, which I would never add for another position, just collateral duty because we're so busy. And being able to download these phones, it's saving us $2,000 to $3,000 a device in a year. It's actually moving the court system quick. If you think about it, I would say a majority are probably out of 8 out of every 10 cases involve a phone or computer of some sort. Like I've said several times, fighting crime is somewhat moving off the road behind a computer. It's unfortunate. A lot of the crimes we deal with, you know, they're using their phone and devices like that. This program has been extremely successful. We have other agencies, county, city, state, and federal agencies that come to us. But it's kind of come to a point where, you know, I really need a dedicated position where I can give that position back in narcotics. So that's why I asked for that position today.
And then one more from the jail.
Operation Sergeant.
That was the one that should have been earlier. That was just a reclassification.
Okay.
Right.
Don't hold that
Only
against me.
3.
That's just a reclassification. No, only 3 positions. That's it.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're looking at a long-range plan and coming in with 1 deputy a year as opposed to 4 at one time. And because that
Can't get vehicles for them.
it would.
No, I'll get Reagan's back.
But it is. It's your department because it's 24/7. It's hard to fill one position. Takes 4.
You know, and I hate to say this, it looks like we're being asked to do, and it's frustrating, more and more non-law enforcement calls. You know, like the mental health. You know, I don't know if that's always our responsibility to do that. You know, there's other options there, but it seems like it falls on
We've
us.
fought that battle a couple of times, Sheriff. You know.
Yes. So, and you know, that's 4, 6, 8 hours.
Yeah. On that type of stuff, Judge, can we charge the county that we're transporting them to get any money back ever? Or
I'm gonna talk to Tanya about that tomorrow. That exact issue, that's one of the things on my
Because I mean,
list.
it's a lot. It's a huge drain on this county to have to transport these cases all over.
Huge, yeah. So, yeah, that's where we're at.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to come to Jesus again.
Anything, Don?
No?
It's a lot less than I expected.
See you next year.
Don't tell him he left money on the table.
Yeah. If we weren't laughing, we would be crying.
Judge, we're friends before, we'll be friends with.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Okay. Now we go to wage adjustment. Okay. So where do we start on that?
Wherever you would like to start.
Well,
Where is it?
there's not a tab.
There's no tab.
I didn't think so.
But let's just start with what I put in the recommended budget. When I put together the budget last March, got it into March. We've gotten away from calling them COLAs, but they're kind of a COLA and kind of not. We call them wage adjustments because we don't necessarily always do exactly what a COLA should be. And what I put into the recommended budget that went out to everybody when they got into Encode and saw how I allocated it out was what is equivalent of a 3% COLA, but we call it a wage adjustment. That's what I put in there. And that's before we've had this spike in inflation, and I understand that. But that's what I put in. And so as a starting point, that's kind of what I've started with, and I continue that recommendation. And so I'm ready to hear from others.
Rosa has some data. Do you have copies of, for everyone on the court? Rosa has kind of the current national rates, which are scary. And she also
This
has
is
kind of
current
3
like
years what the
today.
other counties around us have done in the city of Kerrville. You have this sheet, Rosa's,
Yes, it should
it's
be
in there
on the
both? Okay. Oh, they're both there. Good. Okay. I think you can kind of, the front sheet is that City of Kerrville, this is their plan, 3%, they're planning on, Kennel County's still looking at it, Bandera's looking at a 5% increase, Gillespie's looking at it, Medina's 5%.
Medina has actually changed it to where they're getting around a 7%.
So Medina's now maybe up to a 7% increase. I would suspect, I would be very surprised if Kendall County is not at least 5%. No, I'm not that, talking about it, but I know Kendall County. And Gillespie County, I'm not sure, they'll probably be. So, counties around us are doing 5%. If you look at the second page, it kind of shows, government stats, and it shows the last 6 months, the average is 7.97 consumer price index increase. And then this is kind of where we've done in the past. Last year we did a 1.5%, and if you look at our last 5 year, it averaged 1.4% per year. And that 1.4% per year is, I think it's impacted, like the judge says, we try to be so frugal up here that every once in a while, something like this happens with inflation starts hitting and everyone else's wages start going up, and all of a sudden we're not competitive. And I think that has to be looked at the mix. We try to be frugal, we have very good benefits, but every department that I've talked to, and I've talked to most of them, can't hire employees. And it's the dollars.
Well, that's true everywhere in the private sector, and everywhere you just can't find people who want to work.
Well, I think the good news, it's good news, bad news. The good news is, I think that with the salary study and the effort that we made last year in the budget, I think kept us salary-wise competitive. Now it's trying to hold the position. What's it going to take to still be competitive?
I think a good example is the sheriff. Correct me if I'm wrong, Larry, but there for a while, as recent as 6 months ago, I mean, you were hiring right and left compared to the competition, it seemed like.
I was hiring with a waiting list, and that's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. So, table is turned on.
So, I mean, if at all possible, I'd recommend go to 5%.
I would too.
But we gotta look at the numbers.
Well, the 3% the judge is talking about is twice what we had.
It doesn't matter to these people that we're trying to hire or to maintain, frankly.
Right. If we have to stay competitive, I would definitely, I think we all agree there, but I would advocate for 5% as well. That's all I want to say.
Well deserved, and we need to stay
But anyway, and I'd like to see a 5% in there, and if we can't afford 5%, maybe you go to 4 or 4.5. I mean, do what we can within the limitations, but I think, boy, my goal would be 5%.
Realistically, because we don't stay at full employment in any department, do we have any percentages on that, Tanya?
I have not calculated any percentages for that issue. I tossed them around, I think, here before last, that we did not go to that level. And this year, we're not seeing them hold because we have been more fully staffed this year.
Yeah. I mean, there always is that.
Yeah.
That doesn't get used, that can be used.
Yeah, and you're right, and Commissioner, we budget for full employment, and we've never been there, and that's the largest reason we usually can plan for a deficit budget and then have a positive budget because of that differential.
Well, I'll tell you what, when I put together my draft budget, Sheriff's Office was close as fully hired out, every position. And he had a waiting list, and I'm sitting there looking at, and we're not, I don't know what kind of, what we're gonna have at the end of this year. That's changed.
Yes.
So the percentage could, the reason I'm asking about percentages is obvious. It could, you know, the teeter-totter could help balance the whole thing. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's enough there.
Well, I think we were more, I think our positions were more full 6 months ago than they are today.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the,
Kelly,
we're closer to being, having every position filled.
Yeah, I was full, they have 4 jailers, we used to have 5, a deputy investigator. I mean.
Well,
That's what I'm saying. And so while we got things squared up last year, this wage adjustment here is going to be pretty critical going forward into what next year and the year after are going to look like for us.
Not that there's a direct correlation, but you'll note up and down Sidney Baker that all the fast food joints are now paying $15, $17 an hour, that kind of stuff. And I went to a store today that wasn't open because they don't have anybody to run it.
Right.
And so I'm not against, you know, trying to maintain full employment or at least pay the people that will come to work, pay them better. I'm just reluctant to think that's going to work. And I don't know the answer to that. I'm baffled.
I just look at the, you know, if we went with a 5%, we will probably be everybody, and not just the county employees, it's everyone in the whole country is going to be less buying power because of the inflation rate we're at right now.
Sure.
So you're going to be losing, even with the 5% increase,
you're not up with inflation.
Worse off than you were a year ago.
Yeah.
I want to hear what he has to say.
All I wanted to say, and it's not so much the cost of the raises, but just some cost of living, as Commissioner Letts was talking about. Being somewhat familiar with rental properties in Kerrville, I would say at a minimum the rents have gone up 4.5% to 6%. I could provide you data on that just within the last year, and I look for them to continue to go up.
Yeah.
So right now, a single person working for Kerr County starting at the 1693, I think that's a 15, wouldn't be able to qualify for some of the rental houses, and I'm not talking class AAA.
You're not talking River Hills?
Yeah.
I'm not talking River Hill, Commissioner. And I'm not talking slums, don't get me wrong, but they would not be able to qualify for the rents based on the increase.
Right.
Now, yeah, you can get a roommate, and they should get a roommate, and that's how they're qualifying, to the best of my knowledge, is how they're doing it. But we still need to look at that for our employees who are working, who are staying here. And I would feel that, and we know I've been on that side and I've squeezed that nickel, but this is unprecedented times. And our employees need what help they can get, and I'm not even, that 5% you're talking about might cover the rent, it's not going to cover the eggs and the milk. And I'm not asking you to cover it. I'm just stating the fact. Thank you.
Thank you.
To go follow along with what Bob was saying, unprecedented times, that's true. 2 years ago was unprecedented times when we didn't give any COLA because we didn't know what we were stepping off into.
Right.
And now it's other way.
And the same employees that we're talking about today stayed with us through thick and thin through all
Right,
that.
through the hard knocks.
And the balance that we built up in the fund balance was because money we didn't spend because those people did what they were asked to do, worked from home, and didn't get a COLA.
And it's
I
one
haven't
thing,
forgotten that.
it's one thing to show up at the burger joint or the dollar store or something and it's closed and you can't get in. It's another thing to stand in Bob's office and they're trying to get your license plate and have two people behind the counter and spend, most of the day there. And I think.
We're not as bad as Dallas.
No, I'm not criticizing you. I'm saying if it came to that, what we're talking about here is attrition. We're not talking about current circumstances. So being able to maintain employees, keep them happy, draw new employees, good employees. And I'm saying this for the benefit of the taxpayers here in Kerr County. We want to be able to provide the services that need to be provided. And if you think about the county courthouse operating the same way some of the businesses around here have had to operate because they don't have enough people or quality people or there's a big turnover, I think that most people are not going to begrudge county employees getting the raise. That's my point.
Ms. Holden?
I don't have anything new to say, and you both have really said what I was going to say. I don't know that giving a market increase or a COLA, whatever you want to call it, is going to attract necessarily people applying because, like you said, across town, people are having a hard time getting people to even apply for jobs. But it's to reward those that we already have.
It's to keep the ones we have.
Yes.
Our employees are the greatest asset of this county government.
Exactly, and we need to appreciate them.
As a new person to this whole body, I've been very, very impressed with the entire staff of the county. And I would hate to see this issue to lose what we got. I don't know where that number is, but like I say, I'm very, everybody from the outside thinks that government employment is pat and standard and we all complain and all that. But I'm telling you, as a newcomer to this whole organization, I've been very impressed with the dedication of the employees that we have, and we got to do all we can do to keep them.
Right.
One of the, okay, Kelly, go ahead.
I just, too, wanted to add, I've been short for probably a year.
Yeah.
I'm 4 short. And then everything with CDL drivers and truck drivers and these large salaries that they're paying them, that's been a problem for me. And the Federal Motor Carrier Association changed everything, and they have this entry-level certification that you have to go through before you can actually do the driving test. So you have to have this special certification that the DMV looks at. We used to do all of that in-house. We'd hire people without CDLs. In order to get that certificate, it's thousands of dollars to go to a school to get that. I had a guy come in yesterday to apply for a road maintenance tech position. He had the Class A CDL, which most of us that work at Road and Bridge, including myself, have that. As soon as he saw what the pay was, he said, I can't work for that. And we thanked him for coming in, but I don't have anybody beating the door down over at Road and Bridge for a job. But I do agree with giving our employees a little boost. Our employees, fixed 13 roads from a year and a half ago, and now they're starting on the 50-mile list. And the temperatures have been very, very hot, and these guys show up every day, to come in and finish their job, and really no one's complaining, but I know if they got a little bit of an increase, that sure makes you feel a little bit better. So, thank you.
My last observation that I'll make about it is, and it goes back to something the sheriff said, and it has to do with housing, and Bob's reference to the price of rent and everything. Kerr County and Kerrville itself have very little affordable housing right now. And the people that live here want to stay here. And if we don't keep them, they're going to leave. If we'd have to bring people in from Fredericksburg or Bandera, which we do, we have a lot of people that live in Fredericksburg and Bandera. You go any farther than that, we're getting to the point with gas prices right now where they're not going to be able to afford to make that commute. And I want to incentivize and keep the people that we have and keep the people that are here, even if we can't bring somebody else in from the outside. So I think we need, if 5%'s the number, I'll go along with it.
I think we'll see where it puts us, and hopefully we can keep it.
Can y'all run some numbers for us? You know, look at these different percentages.
The goal for money, we definitely can if you raise it. We definitely will. Do you want just to run numbers for 5%?
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6. Okay. And then we hope to have your overall summary updated Monday. And so that will give us an idea of where we sit before all of this. Just keep in mind, we're somewhere around 4.4 million that we're spending more than what we're bringing in. So just know it's okay. We need to see where we're going to be. And there's different options that we can do, but we do need to look at the big picture.
Right. Yeah.
I think the takeaway from today is we have a lot of needs. We have some wants, but we have a lot of needs. And we're going to have to meet those needs one way or another. So I guess my parting message to the employees is we're going to do the best we can. We'll do the best we can for everybody.
Well, I would like to see, Tanya, how close we are to full employment over the last several years.
I will need Rose's help with that because I don't keep that. I can tell you budget-wise, we're closer to our salary GL items this year than we ever have been.
Right.
So based on that, my take on that is we may have open positions, but we haven't had enough open positions through the years in the larger departments to where it will make a difference this year as far as the turnover, the
Okay.
money that we come back that we could use.
So that's not going to help us any then.
Right.
Well,
Much.
we ought to check it out.
Yeah, we need to know the number.
What we could get though, Commissioner, and I think we can get this easier, is look at the total, beginning of year, total salary expenditure, end of year total
Sure.
salary expenditure, and come up with a percentage, and that's gonna give you, we're spending, 91% of our salary.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking.
That's all.
That's what I'm asking. We have it budgeted. How much of it did we spend last 2 years or 3 years or whatever?
Yeah.
If we average that.
And I guess my point is, this year, with 3 months to left, we've got a lot of departments that are sitting there at the 25%, which is where they should be, with 3 months left to go.
Okay.
So we can look at historical numbers, but I don't know if that's true for today.
Okay. But it'd be a good guide.
Yeah.
It should be pretty.
Ms. Sherwood, you've been sitting at the back of the room. Did you want to address us? I would give you an opportunity if you wanted to talk.
I asked her if she wanted to come and see what budget process was about.
She's always welcome.
Cross-training with
Always
staff.
welcome. Do we have anything else we need to discuss today?
I hope not.
Okay, then we are adjourned.